She's called Dr. Donna Asimire. Dr. Donna Asimire, those are her names. She has finished her PhD. And you know, she's a teacher of economics. She's a lecturer of economics. Now, Donna, next year, she's going to graduate. It's only that she had to pass through a committee, but everything is ready. But she has finished. Dr. Donna, well done. Congratulations. I have another one who's going to graduate with a PhD. Yes. This one is our own. Dr. Atwine Johnson. He's going to graduate with a PhD from Bishop Stuart University. Now that's how far we have gone. Donna, actually, if I had put Donna, would be the third. She's not counted among the two I'm talking about. Thank you very much, Johnson. Congratulations. Clap for him once again. I have here Dr. Matthias. You have been able to come. Matthias, may you come in front. And thank God you survived the accident. Dr. Matthias is one of our senior lecturers in the School of Nursing and Health Sciences under the Department of Public Health. But also, you know, Dr. Matthias, you know, you marry my friend. She marries my friend. We studied together in Maryhill, Margaret. She's also a doctor. By the way, better bring her here. Yes. So, with a PhD, he's not a doctor because of books. He's a doctor in medicine. He's a doctor in what? Even with a PhD. So you can imagine. And actually, we are soon waiting for a PhD in public health. He's one of those behind it, Professor Kazibwe and others. So, Dr. Matthias, thank you very much for coming. Madame Deborah, may you come in front? Madame Deborah is the coordinator of exhibitions, but she's also our coordinator under the Operation Wealth Creation. So most of the innovations here at the farm, those shading net, the greenhouse, the Avis projects, it is her who brought them, actually, who made sure that they are there. Better clap for her. So when here that we go and get ranks, her and Professor Dr. Karibwami Rebecca, who is in charge of Innovations Agribusiness Incubation Hub, they are the ones who are behind most of the innovations in agriculture. So clap for her once again. Actually, I was expecting Dr. Karibwami should be around tomorrow. And tomorrow we are recognizing one of our alumnus, Hilary, who has been behind these innovations, is now profiled in the whole of Africa and internationally because of the humble beginnings from BSU, and now he's at international levels as far as innovations in agriculture are concerned. Madame Jenny Vangamba, may you come in front? This lady, she's a pillar in this university. The husband is the former vice chancellor whom I followed, Professor Joseph Vangamba. Jane was the university finance officer for over 6 years. And retired, she's now busy teaching you. Madame Jane Vangamba, you deserve a very big hand clap. I know you know people of finance, people don't. When you talk about money, may you clap for her. At least you are able to finish, and we are very thankful. Jane, thank you very much for the job well done. I saw, where is Rose? Public Relations Officer Rose. Rose, you are most welcome with the visitors. Thank you. You are welcome, sir. And all the other academic staff from Bishop Stuart University, you are most welcome. Our guild president, where is he? Guild president, you don't sit here. Your seat is this way. You didn't know. When I was introducing council members, our guild president is a council member. So, Emma, may someone help him to shift? You know, he's, he's a big man. Emma, Mr. Emma Behangana, here, we again President, His Excellency. But now that we are going to host His Excellencies, we will share a bit for a while, because they may arrest us. So, you are most welcome, good President. Our visitor, you are most welcome. Oh, wow. We have received the Deputy RCC, Mbarara North. The names we are yet to know them, Reverend. We shall know the names later. But you are most welcome, Deputy RCC. Thank you very much for taking care of us. I see other staff have joined. I see the librarian, Madam Chamgambi, Annette. There is people in finance, Barbara, and all the other staff from Bishop Stuart University. Where you are recognized. Thank you for the job well done. I also want to recognize all of you students and the alumnus or alumni of BSU. The alumni of BSU, you are most welcome. All the students, the graduates to be, you are most welcome to BSU, without forgetting the media house, the media fraternity. Thank you very much for being there for Bishop Stuart University. Now, my remarks are written, but I'm not going to read them. I will only give a highlight. Academic register has arrived. May you come in front, they have to see you. From behind, nobody will see you. The academic registrar, Mr. Abudon Aruho Rutega, is here. Welcome with a very big hand clap. Yes, if he does not sign your document, favorite club, you will not sign your document, you will remain in the BSU for years or forever. So, yeah, thank you very much. And it's actually the reason why we are here. So, our guests, plus our guest speaker, I want to say, praise the living God. Praise the living God. Today is a special day. But as you are very much aware, after COVID, many people went into hibernation. Other people have loved Zoom. And actually right now, we are on air. Aren't we on air? I want an assurance. We are on air, isn't it? Yes, we are on air. So some of the people who you don't think you are only going to speak to us who are here. There are very many people who are on air now. So some are wherever they are. And you also need to note this whole campus, at least over 80% is covered with Wi-Fi. So those who are there, they are attending. So let us not look at the numbers that are here. The other thing, we are expecting our graduates will have dinner in the evening. So I'm sure others are joining us. And we are inviting all of you who are here. Dinner is prepared. Yes. Even our discussant, where you are, Mr. Herbert Mugumia, is online. So this public lecture is special. Our guest speaker, you need to know, and our bishop, it is important to note we are now becoming digital. Even our discussant is going to be online. That is how far we have gone. Actually, research shows, I don't know, Professor Mujisha, what you are going to do. Maybe you have another experience from Cavendish you are going to share with us. Because you're operating internationally. And you know, we have been attending this conference. They are saying the 4 world classrooms in this 21st century may not matter now. Even the libraries, which are halls and built with mud and straw and cement, they may not matter anymore because we are talking of digital libraries. Now, this is actually the reason. This is the very reason why we why we thought of this lecture. The topic is higher education in Uganda's growth and management in post-COVID-19 era. How are we going to go about it? For your information, some students are preferring to study online. The academic staff, you must shift. Whether I want it or not, we must have students who are going to be online. I have gone in some meetings that one student who is working in Kampala actually works with either Ministry of Education or with UBTEB. He was saying, oh, thank you very much, madam. He said, you know, BSU, we are happy you are online. So now, that is one of the core things now. Council of BSU approved a policy that we must adopt online teaching. And as we talk now, by next academic year, we are going to have courses, the deans who have tasked them to give us courses that are going to be run online. Is that serious? Therefore, must be ready for the new changes. But when they come, sometimes they are going to be shocked. The other thing, people used to say, I must go and attend to this because I will miss. But now, even if I miss, as long as there's a recording, I'll go on YouTube and I'll get all the information. That is also another thing. Those who have missed will get you, sir. There's one time I went for you also presented. The diocese, this Zoom, the cyber service. I saw on the chat there were very few people. I think there were like 40 or 30 something. But guess what? When I finished, people kept sending me messages, thank you very much for a wonderful presentation. I said, how did they get to know? Then I realized that whatever we say, it is online. Then until one time, it was Honorable Justice Catherine Ramugemerere, who also gave a presentation. I was traveling. I was speaking her, but I was on and off. When she finished, I sent her a message, thank you very much for the nice talk. I would love to get it because she sent it to me. That's when I realized that we are now online. You don't say, I have missed anything. If you miss, you can go back and do a recap. And our students, you need to know that. The lecturers, you need to know that. Somehow, even during the management of COVID, some lecturers were fearing to be recorded. They were wondering, how do I get recorded? Why do I record? Don't I have IPR issues? On my knowledge, we said now, knowledge has become global. Access to knowledge is global. Actually, even the notes you are teaching, everything you want, all course outlines, even the course content is available. Now, the issue is how are you packaged to use that knowledge, to grow, to maneuver, and survive. But not only to survive, to make a difference. Because survival, one time we were presenting to the first lady, I don't know if Professor Munsha were with you. We are saying we are trying to do things to survive. He said, survival is a very mean statement, very mean. You know, survival, you are talking about subsistence. We are not training to become subsistence students. We are training to become global, international. Therefore, the word survival should not come. You must live, you must live, you must make a difference. So if you say, I'm working to survive, we better change that attitude. Actually, we're talking about agriculture. I said, how can you do agriculture? You keep saying we are working to survive, survive. If you are to survive, you not go beyond maybe beyond your house. And if you are to survive, you not look beyond Mbarara. For some of us who are from here. Now you must start looking for international jobs. Yesterday I was discussing with someone. Professor Munsha, I'm not giving you a lecture, but I was discussing with someone. He said, now, for example, the banking sector is one of the, you remember that time we attended the conference? Banking sector is one of those sectors badly hit. Now, it's not badly hit, but it is for a good reason. You no longer need to go in any banking hall that you are going to bank money or withdraw money. You all know it. Your banks are online now. Now, if you are working, you are studying business administration, that you are going to be employed in a bank, you better forget that even those who are there, their jobs are also going away. And actually, they have gone. The other time, it came on me, I was looking for a commercial KCB. I was in Standard Chartered Bank. It first closed here in Barara. Then I went in Kampala. I discovered that the bank has actually closed. They have maybe like 3 branches all over. But all their transactions are online. Even when you go in the banking hall, they no longer need people there. Now I thought it was Standard Chartered Bank. I said, how can this bank close? Little did I know that all banks are following suit. The other day I was looking for KCB. I found some branches are already closed. Now, if you think you are going to look for a job from the bank, better be thinking of digital banking now online. That's now banking agency. Those are digital jobs. Banking agency is a digital job. In fact, we have many, whichever bank I go to, we're having almost all banks are represented here in this university. Name them. But you know where those who are transacting, where they are, you find them, they are moving by the chapel shed, wherever. They are busy transacting because the jobs are where? Are online. And you have someone who has a fraud. You say, my money is finished, send me money. They keep sending. So that's what I've been told. Actually, like I was talking to someone from Equity Bank. He told me there are 3 agents who are here in BSU, but I don't know whether you know them, where they are. Me, I have not seen them, but they are here doing digital banking and collecting our school fees. Actually, they are saying we can see the numbers are increasing in BSU. Why? They have agents here who are not visible, meaning that people are moving their banks over they are. They could even be our students now. So now, as lecturers, where are we? We must transform. So, our core value number 3, it is the pursuit of knowledge and ingenuity. To pursue, to pursue something, you must run after it. And it is not easy to pursue something. It involves serious determination. And ingenuity means serious innovations. It's a word beyond innovations. If I may simplify it, it is just innovations, but pursuit of knowledge and ingenuity. Meaning that you must look for knowledge, but look for it with serious intentions. Like when you give a degree, the other day, I was telling you, I say, when we give a degree or a diploma, we have given you a master key. A master key opens every door. So you are not going to say, where is my job? We have given you a master key. Meaning that your degree can open any door that you want open. You can go anywhere and you get employed. You can create jobs. You are the ones who will ensure that you have a job. You can actually bring up jobs that are not yet known. It is you. That is the pursuit of knowledge. Bring innovations on board. Like now our students, those who are listening online, and if you are there, you are not coming. I don't know, and I wonder why you will get knowledge if you don't go for conferences, for attend meetings, for even some of these public lectures. And you think you will get knowledge that will take you to another level. It is high time you invest in knowledge. Knowledge acquisition, but also knowledge. There is when we are being trained by South Africans, there is something they call, you incubate the knowledge, but you must disseminate it. Dissemination of knowledge, but besides the dissemination, you must assimilate it. In short, you must use it. If you just acquire knowledge for the sake of acquisition of knowledge, it will be too bad for you and for me. So as academicians, we must start thinking outside the box. Especially lecturers, start thinking outside the what? The box. You ever had a church, if the church can start a cyber service, and then you a lecturer, you are saying, I cannot be recorded. Now you are, all our voices are being recorded. The other day I was even presenting under another cyber during Easter, on Easter Friday, under the church. And people were telling me someone was in the UK who is coordinating. It's not even here. He was coordinating. Now that's the far we have gone. And there is someone from MasterCard We were writing a project of MasterCard. Professor, this person told us the office of MasterCard was closed in Uganda. He's working from home. So international organizations have actually are reducing space. They no longer want to, when research shows, maybe Professor, you are the one who should tell us, that working from home actually is very productive as compared to working from office, especially in a busy place like Kampala, where you spend 2-3 hours in a jam. Then you are also another 3 hours again in a jam, morning and evening. When do you ever work? So now this is how far we have gone. I want to say BSU has grown. 5 faculties. By the way, there is one dean I did not introduce. Where is he? Dr. Noel, may you come in front and I see you? Dr. Noel? Dr. Noel, you stand there, they have to see you there. Thank you. Maybe you remove a mask and they see you. Dr. Noel is our dean, Faculty of Economics, Faculty of Business, Economics, and Governance. So you are the guy behind some of these innovations, banks. You are the, like now I see you have graduated many people in the BBA. I hope you have trained them to know that jobs are somewhere. They are managers everywhere and in the crowd everywhere. That's very good. Thank you very much. And he's very well trained. And he worked in Somaliland. So tomorrow we shall be graduating 1,773. There is one added. Students. Now you can imagine how many people were adding in the market. So I was telling you, if you think you have a first class and you think a first class is enough, it is not enough unless you use it. And remember, every year we are producing first class uppers. Therefore, be ready to transform your knowledge. Then this year we are celebrating 20 years of existence. BSU is celebrating. This graduation is part of the 20 years of existence. We started in 2002, so 20 years of existence. Now, what does that mean? We know being a Christian university, for us, we are guided by the scriptures. When we are reading the book of Ezra, chapter 3, verse 8, it is clearly reported and stated by the word of God that the appointed Levites from the age of 20 years and old, 20 years old and upwards, to set forward the work of the house of the Lord. Actually, other versions they said they were appointed to become supervisors. So at the age of 20, you are supervisors. So BSU, we are no longer children. And in those old days, you know, at 20 years, even in the constitution of Uganda, you can marry, you can have a family, you can do anything, you can start a business. Nobody will stop you because you are mature. But even biblically, it states so. You are supervisors. So I was telling students, whoever is 20 years, you know you are a supervisor. But what is so special about being a supervisor? You can never become a supervisor unless you know how to supervise yourself. If you cannot supervise yourself, you can never become a what? A supervisor. So the bottom line, start with self-supervision. And I can tell you, even the sky is not the limit. So we are believing that as BSU, where we are 20 years, whatever we do, we don't need supervisors. We should work, do our part, and ensure the university moves from one level to the other. The Bishop, by the way, I need to let you know that we are having many of our staff that have been employed in BSU with masters in IT. So what you see, these innovations are our students, by the way. And that's a sign of growth. Norman, by the way, you stand, Norman. Norman is in public relations. That young man you see here is very vibrant in IT. Some of the things you see, he's behind. So I want to say the university is not going behind, it is moving forward. And I know you are also moving forward. So that our guest speaker will have a rec center number for research now. So your students from Cavendish, I'm requesting that let them come and apply. We shall be approving their research from where? From BSU now. From MAST, from all of, because the rec is a Ugandan. In fact, even international people, those who are doing research in Uganda, they must come and submit from here. So you are most welcome. We are among the maybe 29th rec in this country. And most of them are in Makerere in research institutions. So getting one here is a serious statement to BSU. And of course, our students have been competing internationally, locally, in games. You know, we are having a mark. We won girls sports. We are now girls, the women's sports who are the winners in Busitema. We are going to East Africa. So you can imagine. We are hosting 13th human rights competition is going to be here. Our faculty of law, we have received what we call a master's in LLM. And today, before I came, there is a student who came, who actually was our former guild president, Alex. He's at LDC. He said the director at LDC was speaking. Actually, counsel, this is for your information. You have been asking, what is the source? He said, he was giving a speech, he said, there are 4 law schools certified, and one of them is Bishop Stuart University. So among the top 4 law schools, we are there. So we have now a master's of law, master of laws in BSU. We have also church, our bishop. We have received a PhD in religion and modernity. And I want this one to be publicized media by the, please take this. Religion and modernity is not only Anglican, it's not only Protestant. It involves all, whether Catholic, whether Pentecostal, whether what, even those, they are all invited. That is the far we have gone. But the church, we expect you to come here and get PhDs, but also to keep giving these men of these public lectures. So I want to assure you, we are going to engage more. Actually, I believe this PhD, we are going to be doing more of online for people to understand what is there, the world view. You hear religion and modernity. So there are very many things we must tackle. Having said that, I'm not the key speaker, but I was trying to prepare a way for our guest speaker. And I'm requesting whoever is in charge, Emine, may you tell the dean down that let him bring students here. They listen to the public lecture. Those whom here are out, down there are our students. I'm requesting that I stop there. And what next, Reverend? The guest? No. Okay. I'm stopping here. Wishing you a very nice public lecture and our guest speaker and all our guests. Thank you very much for honoring our invitation. May God bless you.
Thank you very much, our VC. Let's give her a very, very, very big clap. You know, a few years ago, we hosted Nigerians here. One time we hosted an archbishop from the provinces of Nigeria, and later an ambassador. And so she admired some of the attires from there, and she looks like a Nigerian now. Let's give her another big clap. She's very, very smart in her African attire. Thank you very much, RVC. The deputy RCC is Mr. Kanusu Robert, RCC Mbara City North, Mbara City Division North, the other side. So welcome. I was expecting the other colleague of yours, but he's not here. Next time, I hope you'll come with him tomorrow. We also have Mr. Stephen Aichirza from SNV. Where are you, sir? You are most welcome. So, I'm going to invite Dr. Moses Baikirize to take us on, to invite other people that are supposed to come and speak to us. Dr. Moses, you are most welcome.
Yeah, thank you so much, Reverend. I also take this honor and opportunity to welcome everybody in this session. Our guest of honor. Ladies and gentlemen, we have our program. Our schedule is already we're a little bit late, but I hope we shall move so that we can hit the time. Our Professor, Vice Chancellor, thank you for good word. I want to assure you, as university staff, we are not remaining thinking in the box, we are thinking out of the box. And I want also to encourage our students, both ongoing students and graduates, those who are here. You've heard from our Vice Chancellor that we need to think out of the box. Going on the program, we shall have Associate Professor Gasho at Kunda presenting our discussant and our chief guest. From there, we shall have Muganywa Habat, who is online, that we shall hear from him, reflecting and discussing in this public lecture. So without wasting time, allow me to take this opportunity to welcome Associate Professor Gasho to present to us our guest and our main discussant, and then we move on. Professor, you're most welcome.
Thank you so much, Dr. Moses Akirize, my Lord Bishop and the Chancellor for Bishop Stuart University, the Chair Council, and all council members, the Vice Chancellor, and all the staff of BSU. As per protocol, our chief guest for today, Professor John Mugisha, you are most welcome to this function, and members around. Professor John Mugisha is the Vice Chancellor of Cavendish University and an internationally recognized scholar in health planning and management. He previously served as Deputy Vice Chancellor, Academic Affairs of Cavendish University, Uganda. And before that, he was the Dean of the Faculty of Health Sciences, Uganda Matters University. Professor Mugisha is a member of the National Council for Higher Education, where he represents private universities in Uganda, a recipient of Fellowship Award of African Institute of Public Health Professionals, and he's also a member of the Uganda National Immunization Technical Advisory Group and the current Vice Chairman of Uganda Vice Chancellors Forum. Professor Mugisha is an author of several scholarly articles in various peer-reviewed journals, and he holds a PhD in health planning and management from Kere University in United Kingdom, a master's in health services management from Uganda Matters University, and a Bachelor of Arts in Social Sciences from Makerere University. Professor Mugisha is our chief guest, and today is going to present on the theme higher education in Uganda's growth and challenges management in the post-COVID-19 era. Professor Mugisha, you are most welcome to present your paper.
Thank you very much, Professor Tukunda Gashom. The representative of His Lordship, the Bishop and Chancellor of this university, the Chair of Council and members of Council, the Vice Chancellor, the faculty, the students, those who are completing and going to graduate, and those who are continuing, the invited guests in your respective capacities, our friends who are participating virtually. I'm informed there are those who are following us online. We respect you and recognize your presence and your participation. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a great opportunity for me to be here today at the invitation of the university and of my sister, Professor Mauda Kamatenes Mujisha, to speak about higher education in Uganda's growth and challenges management in post-COVID-19 era. I want to thank my old friend, Professor Tukunda Gashom, for a very generous introduction. Someone kept emphasizing associate professor. I have not heard this in the church. If there is an assistant bishop, they do not keep saying assistant bishop so and so. Because an assistant bishop is a bishop, right? And is a member of the House of Bishops. So Professor Tukunda Gashom, I think that emphasis was to show that you still have something to do. So I want to say you are all welcome, and thanks for picking interest in public lectures, because you learn a number of things. This is not my first time to be here. The last time I was here, I was asked to discuss or to give a response to a public lecture that was delivered by His Excellency Dr. Etubon, who was the High Commissioner of the Federal Republic of Nigeria to Uganda. It was at Lakeview Hotel. And I think after my response, I was a discussant. I think university management saw it fit to invite me, to upgrade me to the main presenter. I want to believe that that is a recognition of how I performed last time. Thank you very much. Before I start, the last time I was here, because the audience has changed, I started by talking about the need for each and everyone to understand the business we are in. The students, the staff, the faculty, the sponsors, the parents, those in management and those in governance, the council and the board of trustees. There is a need for each and everyone to understand the business that a university is into. Apart from the other things that we always sing about, teaching and learning, research, community engagement, actually universities exist for three other things. One is transformation. Universities have got a transformative agenda. They transform students, they transform staff, they transform visitors, they transform stakeholders, but they also transform the nation. A transformative agenda. The great focus is on students and staff. That the way you enter is not the way you get out. So what do they transform? They transform their knowledge, they transform their skills, they transform their competencies, they transform their attitude, they transform their passion, they transform their thirst for value addition. And they gradually and continuously transform the culture so that also the staff and other stakeholders benefit from that transformation. The students who are going to graduate tomorrow, I am sure, have been transformed. Transformed in terms of knowledge, simple facts and ideas about something is actually what we refer to as knowledge. The ability to use that knowledge to perform a task is what we call a skill. And the ability to use or apply appropriate skills to perform an appropriate task and therefore realize appropriate results is what we call a competence. The frame of mind that is determined to make a difference and realize good results is what you would refer to as attitude. All these are transformed. But apart from the transformative role, universities also exist for development. So we talk of a developmental university. The traditional idea of an ivory tower concept. You've heard of ivory tower before? That idea is long gone. It is archaic. And now we are saying that universities are no longer ivory towers. They allow the communities around into the university, and the universities themselves go out into the community. During the time of the ivory tower, it transformed into community service. They said, okay, the ivory tower can actually go out and play a role. What they called taking the gown to the town. The assumption behind that was that the university as an ivory tower has something to offer to the community, but it does not have something to benefit from the community. That's why they talked about community service. Today we talk about community engagement. A lot of learning is actually out there in the community. And so we go out as universities into the communities to learn. You cannot imagine what great amounts of resources and repositories of knowledge are out there in the communities. So community service is no longer there. We talk of community engagement. We give and we also take. That is another aspect. I have talked about transformation. I have also talked about development. The other one is knowledge production and innovation. These are the three things that universities do. Now, for you to benefit from those, you need to have a purpose to get the benefit. There is no success without strategy. There is no success and there is no achievement without purpose. There is no success without strategy. The short story I told those who were at the meeting when I first came here was about 3 young men who were crushing stones. They were crushing stones to get stone aggregate. Those they use in construction. To do the flooring, erect the columns and do the slab. And the gentleman asked one of them and said, "Young man, what are you doing?" He replied, "You can't see what I'm doing. I am crushing stones." He turned to the second one and said, "Young man, what are you doing?" The second one said, "Don't joke with me. I'm earning $50 a day." That was the day's wage for each one of them. Then he turned to the third one and said, "Young man, what are you doing?" The third boy said, "I'm helping to build a cathedral." Three young men doing the same thing gave different answers. One said, "I'm crushing stones." The other one said, "I'm earning $50 a day." The other one said, "I'm helping to build a what? A cathedral." By the way, I hope that we all know what a cathedral is. You can ask somebody near you and say, "Do you know what a cathedral is?" Because you need to take this opportunity to learn. When I have had the opportunity to ask people, they have told me all sorts of answers. It is a big church. It's a permanent church. It's a very big church building. A cathedral is a church where there is a seat of the bishop. They call it a cathedral. That's why the church is called the cathedral. Okay? You need to know that because learning happens everywhere if you didn't know it. So of the three young men, whom do you think was interested in shaping the stone aggregate that were being crushed to ensure that they get either half-inch or quarter-inch, depending on what they were going to do? Those in the construction industry tell you need half-inch to do this, quarter-inch to do the columns. Which of the three boys do you think was interested in the quality of the stones that were being crushed? And someone gave me the answer which the vice chancellor is mentioning, the one who said, "I'm helping to build the cathedral." Because that one understood why the stones were being crushed. Now, the moment there is a disconnect between the degree program you are undertaking, between even the work you are doing as a professor or an instructor, and the end result you want to see, not only about the student, but actually about the wider society, about the church, about the community, the nation, about the world we are in. If there is a disconnect between what I am doing in class as a professor and the kind of world I want to see out there, then I am crushing stones. I'm not even teaching. I am crushing stones. Likewise, if there is a disconnect between the kind of person you want to be, professional, citizen, elder, the kind of person you want to be and what you are studying right now as a student, and you are not trying to make a connection of how this one fits into the wider scheme of things and how you want to turn out, depending on your dream. And for you are simply attending classes and even passing, and they give you 100%, 90%. But you are not relating this to the kind of person you want to be. Young man, young lady, I am afraid. You are not even studying. You are crushing stones. We need to look always at the wider scheme of things and ask ourselves, how does this feed into my career ambitions? The kind of person that I want to be. The kind of society that I want to facilitate to grow. The kind of family and community that I want to live in and to help improve and transform. How would I use this knowledge? Where is the connection? Do not crush stones. Aim to build the cathedral. This gets me into the presentation. higher education in Uganda's growth and challenges management in post-COVID-19 era. I had prepared a PowerPoint, but I'm not going to use it because of where we are doing this from. I have a few quotations that I had wanted to start with, and one is from Nelson Mandela. It says, education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. John Kufuor of Ghana said education, particularly higher education, will take Africa into the mainstream of globalization. And Drew Faust said higher education is the strongest, steadiest ladder to increase the socio-economic mobility. So the topic we are discussing is extremely important. I want you to know that higher education is not just another step, just another level or the next level of learning after secondary school education. No. It is an extremely critical point in the formation of one's growth and the development of one's capabilities to make contributions that will transform the student or the learner, that will transform their communities, their nation, and therefore cause social economic transformation. The right of access to higher education, by the way, is a human right. The UN International Covenant on Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights of 1966 declares in its Article 13, and I quote, higher education shall be made equally accessible to all on the basis of capacity by every appropriate means, and in particular by the progressive introduction of free education. We are not at a level where higher education can be free. We will reach that level. For the people in the future to reach that level, those of us living now need to play our part. You are required to play your part when you graduate, those who are going to graduate, so that people coming after you might realize this. Higher education is also called post-secondary education. It's the one we are talking about. It consists of universities and colleges and polytechnics that offer formal degrees, but also institutes and colleges that offer non-degree awards or qualifications. So what we are talking about now is a group that includes all those post-secondary institutions. They are the ones that we refer to as higher education. There is, of course, a difference between degree awarding institutions and non-degree awarding higher education institutions. The latter are expected to award skills to help produce operatives and supervisors at a technical level to go and do a lot of technical work. The focus of the degree awarding institutions is, in addition to that, give or impart critical thinking, analytical reasoning, team working skills, information literacy or digital literacy that the VC was talking about, decision-making skills, communication skills, both written and oral, and problem-solving skills. If you are still within the university as a student, you must get out of the university with those skills. Later, I will be showing the kind of pedagogy we can deploy to ensure that we realize these learning outcomes. I want to give you a bit of history of higher education, but I'll try to be brief. The oldest higher education institutions known are credited to the dynastic Egypt with what they used to call the pranks or houses of life, which were built as libraries and what they call a scriptorium, a scriptoria. A scriptorium is a place dedicated to writing. So those places were actually for scribes. What they used to teach included law, architecture, mathematics, and medicine around the 3rd millennia BC. And in the Greek world, we recall Plato's Academy between 387 to 86 BC, Aristotle's school called the Lyceum, 334 to 86 BC, and other schools that were mainly teaching philosophy, ethics, physics, metaphysics, and mathematics generally. These schools were indeed very old. You see, you need to remember or to understand that there was scholarly work a long time ago. The VC just quoted Ezra. When you read the book of Ezra, the king was referring to him as a scholar and an intellectual, a specialist in matters of God, of the Most High God. He was a distinguished scholar, probably like the PhD you have been talking about in religion and modernity. Read about Ezra. You realize that he was that type. The king recognized him and wrote to him a letter and saying to Ezra, a scholar and a specialist in matters of the Most High God. So scholars were there in those times. So these schools I have talked about were models for other establishments, particularly in Alexandria of Egypt, and the people that were referred to as the Ptolemies. They ruled the kingdom known as the Ptolemic kingdom in ancient Egypt. By the way, when we talk about the ancient Greeks, we need to know that many of them were in fact in Egypt, not in where the current Greece is. The Greek civilization, and in fact the ruling dynasties, were actually in Alexandria. And so this was also in Egypt. So higher education began later in other regions. You can see it really started in Africa. And later it went to Southeast Asia and was started by the Buddhist monks. And in China by the Han's dynasty. But there is something particularly important. In 425 CE, CE is also the same as AD. It's called Common Era. And it's what they used also to mean Anno Domini, that is referred to as the year of our Lord. So as far back as 425 CE or AD if you want, the Byzantine Emperor Theodosius II established a school called the Pandidaterion with a faculty of 31 professors to train public servants. 31 professors, as far back as 425 AD. You can just imagine. So higher education institutions have been there. According to UNESCO and the Guinness World Book of Records, the University of Al Qarawiyyin in Morocco is the oldest existing continually operating higher education institution. It was there then and it is still there today. The oldest and continually operating. You've heard of other universities like the famous University of Timbuktu. At some point they stopped. But this one has continued. And so some scholars actually refer to it as the oldest university. But where you'll find in many books that the oldest modern university in the world, a university in a modern sense, is the University of Bologna in Italy, which was founded in 1088 AD. Universities were there, of course, before this, but we are talking about the modern kind of university. People used to study from academies run by individuals. You read about St. Paul, the lawyer who studied under the famous law school run by Gamaliel, right? So that's how people were running academies and teaching professionals. And later, institutions were started. Now, the church is particularly credited for starting modern universities. And the idea behind was to provide holistic evangelism, to promote life to the full. So some of the oldest, but also the best, then and now, universities in the world are actually church-founded universities. Do you want to thank the church for that, for the job well done? Now, in Uganda, the schools and education institutions were in fact started by the church. I think you know about that. You have gone through a bit of that history. The medical training in Uganda, the now famous Makerere University College of Health Sciences and formerly medical school, was in fact not started by government. It was located in Mengo and it was started by Dr. Albert Cook and a nurse who was called Catherine. I think later she became the wife to Albert Cook. They were not couples when they came to Uganda. They were just missionaries doing their work. One was a nurse, another one was a doctor. And later they became a couple. I think they got married here in Namirembe. In fact, their relationship as a husband and wife later influenced the relationship between doctors and nurses. Somehow they behave like couples. Because of that relationship between the first nurse and the first doctor. When a doctor goes to a ward, the nurses stand up, right? The other one was standing up actually for the husband. Just like in Uganda, you would kneel down. But I think that tradition, Dr. Mugisha, it has continued up to today, even when doctors and nurses are in fact not couples. That's a bit of the genesis. And so the two started training nursing aides and later upgraded them to nursing assistants, and later they trained medical assistants. And they shifted to Mulago, actually where the Albert Cook Library is located. This training started in Mengo. And then government picked interest in it and discussed with the church. And took on the training of the medical assistants, but also heavily involved Dr. Albert Cook and his wife in this training. So it was being run by missionaries and of the Church of Uganda. When we talk of universities, they are in different categories, and I would like you to know some of these categories. I have talked about degree awarding institutions and non-degree awarding institutions. We have private and public universities and higher education institutions, faith-based and non-faith-based universities and higher education institutions. The non-faith-based universities and higher education institutions are sometimes wrongly referred to as secular institutions. They are not secular. The word secular, by the way, is related to a Greek word sekrorum. It means without God. So if you are secular, you are without God. They are not secular. They are non-faith-based. When I went to Cavendish University, Uganda, to do an interview to become a deputy vice chancellor, and one of the members on the panel referred to the university as secular, I said, excuse me, sir, let me help you a bit here. The word secular means A, B, C, D, and I educated him on the meaning of the word secular. And I said, if you are really without God, I can actually fail this interview because I will not work. I will not work here. There's going to be a lot of God's work here. A lot. If you bring me in. And I need to declare that from the very onset. So they said, how would you categorize that? I said, it's non-faith-based, but it is not secular. Where I think they were not annoyed because I passed the interview. And after passing the interview, I immediately introduced what I had pledged. A university fellowship. And we started the booming. But now everybody agrees that when you are working with God, you work better. We have academic versus technical universities and higher education institutions. Some of the universities have a focus on certain technical skills, including Mbara University of Science and Technology. It's an example of what you would categorize as a technical university, including Chambogo University. But they are purely academic universities, like Makerere, like Kabale University, like, they are not targeting particular technical impartation of technical skills. We have national, regional, international universities. Let me mention that all universities, by the way, are international because they operate on international standards. The steps you go through to become an associate professor in Harvard are the same steps you go through to become an associate professor here at BSU. There is no shortcut. That's why all the people have the PhDs here and they are not professors. They have to go through the same steps. The steps you go through to get a PhD at Stanford are the steps you go through to get a PhD here. They can love you and wish you well, but they will say, okay, we pray for you next year. Because you have something to fulfill. If you do not fulfill it, they will again wish you well for another year. That's how we operate in universities. There is no shortcut because we uphold the same international standards. And we do not want to make mistakes. The worst thing is for Cavendish University, Uganda, to send out a professor to Bishop Stuart University or to the UK, and then they realize that that professor is lacking. It's like sending out a priest from Ankwere Diocese, and he goes somewhere, and when he begins to preach, people begin wondering whether this priest benefited from theological training. You don't want to make that mistake. So we have a duty to make sure that everybody goes through the steps. Because some of you could have said, but the VC is wishing them well. Why can't they give them the PhDs tomorrow? It is not going to work. The VC is wishing them well and asking them to work hard so that they fulfill those steps. a bit of history in Uganda, if you want to trace the development of higher education institutions, you could categorize it into three. You could call one the colonial period between 1894 to 1962, when Uganda got its independence. You could create the second category and call it the first 25 years of independence, 1962 to 1985. And you could create the third category and call it 1986 to the present. Because these three periods or phases have witnessed completely different contexts under which higher education in Uganda has operated. In the colonial times, which actually was characterized by state formation and exploitation, including of higher education institutions, there were a few higher education institutions. The church is the one that started education institutions, and the aim was to develop a society that would appreciate the gospel for holistic evangelization and to promote life to the full. Later, the state came in. The aim of the state was different from the aim of the church then, as it may still be different even today. The colonial state aimed to train a cadre of people to serve the colonial government and create a royal cadreship of people that would be obedient, that would be submissive, and who would help to, in fact, continue the project of colonization. So they created two worlds, and they would tell you that the white man's world is actually the best world. And the graduates were meant to continue with that agenda. That everything from the West, as we call it, from Europe and from America, was better than everything from here. In fact, some of the things here were regarded as sinful, even when they were not necessarily very sinful. We used to see people confessing in the church that they have used traditional medicine, omubirizi. Some people, somebody would confess that I was sick and then I used the omubirizi. I don't think that one was necessarily sinful. These are medicinal plants, okay? But you see, people thought that everything that is indigenous is actually sinful. And if the priest say that, no, that one is not sinful, they would actually say, is this priest serious? He's not born again. So the priest had to be very careful to say, okay, God bless you. Let's have a fellowship on this day, so that he can be able to take them through the basics. So the curriculum was foreign, aiming to create a society that would look to colonizers as superior. Actually, at that time, there was only one university that was set up, started as a technical institute, and that was Makerere University. Now, between 1962, when we became independent, to 1985, I want to summarize this as a period of political turbulence and breakdown of state structures. If there was time, I think the chair of council would have something to say about this, because I think he witnessed this period. The period I'm referring to as the period of political breakdown and turbulence. Okay? Because I have read about his profile, which is why I'm saying that he could have witnessed this period of political turbulence and breakdown of state structures. The situation that started to worsen after independence reached its apex in 1971 when Idi Amin captured power. 1 year after the capture of power by Idi Amin, the chancellor, the vice chancellor of Makerere University was murdered. That's how bad things became. I think some student leaders went into exile, including Dr. Hakana Rugunda and late Tumsime Mutevire. Professor Kamatenes, I had a chance to go through this story again a week after this Easter, because I was in Nairobi with your friend Professor Kwakor, who had contested for the same guild directions against Tumsime Mutevire. And Professor Kwesiga, who was working as a PA to the VC at the time when the VC was killed. So I got this just a few weeks ago, maybe 2 weeks ago, and I got this story. So there was total breakdown of education structures, persecution of great intellectuals. You know, the education institutions, just like all other structures of society in Uganda, health institutions and others, were starved of major inputs, and service delivery went to the dogs. Many of the professors ran away from Makerere, which was the only university. Then came the 1986 period when the National Resistance Government took office. This is a fact of history. When the NRM government took power in Uganda, they restored sanity. They worked to recover, to attain economic recovery very quickly and carried out a number of reforms. But one of the great reforms they carried out affecting higher education was liberalization of education. The government argued that it was not necessary to remain with only one education, one university. And they also said it did not make sense to have only the government as the provider of higher education in Uganda. They said if the church is interested, actually IU was the first to be established after that liberalization under a special act of parliament. And the president said we are calling upon all those actually who know education even better, because they started it and they have been restricted by the law. We are removing that law and the barriers. And so the Church of Uganda came in. And later the Catholic Church came in. And today, from just one university, when NRM government took office, we now boast of 54 universities in the country. You can thank the government for that, because this is a very big thing. You would not be at Bishop Stuart University, and you would all not fit into Makerere University, because it's also full now. So probably people who are there would remain there. So this was a game changer in the dynamics of higher education in this country. It was a game changer. So today, government has also expanded public universities. We have 10 public universities and 44 private universities. Of the 44 private universities, 5 are Anglican, 4 Catholics, 2 Islamic, 1 SDA, Seventh-day Adventist Church, and 2 belong to other faiths. Those are 14, the 14 that are faith-based. And then others are non-faith-based but not secular. There are also other degree awarding institutions, 2 of which are public, and 16 are private, giving a total of 18. The enrollment, total enrollment in these institutions has also increased tremendously. In universities now, we produce 194,518 graduates. In other degree awarding institutions, 10,822. In other tertiary institutions, 59,567. And in all, higher education institutions in Uganda produce 265,908 graduates on average a year. That's quite big. And we need to appreciate the government. Now, I want to get into higher education and growth. I have mentioned that higher education or joining a university, let's use an example of Bishop Stuart University, is more than just the next level in the learning process. It's a critical component of human development worldwide. Higher education is recognized the world over as an engine of national growth and development. Gross enrollment ratios in higher education institutions are directly proportional to the rate of economic growth and development of different countries. Countries with higher gross enrollment ratios in higher education institutions have achieved higher rates of growth compared to those with low gross enrollment ratios. Actually, the recommended ratio is around 40%. In Uganda, we are way, way below this. And so we still need to do a lot. Higher education institutions are expected to produce graduates with ready-to-use skills and competencies needed to manage various national institutions and development functions that help to move the economy forward. We also know that an educated population is vital in the growth of countries. Knowledge accumulation and application have today become major factors in economic development and are increasingly at the core of Uganda's competitive advantage in the global economy. In 2013, the government of Uganda launched what they called Vision 2040, with an aim to transform the Ugandan society from a peasant to a modern and prosperous country within 30 years. The target, when you use 2010 as a base year, as baseline, was to increase per capita income from US$ 506 to 9,500, and so take us to a middle income status. Reduce percentage of population below the poverty line from 24.5, where it was that time, to 5%. Reduce labor force distribution in agriculture from a very high percentage to a lower one, so that we can work in the services sector and in industry and innovations. Increase share of industry from 7.6% to 26%. There are several others. Also increasing life expectancy at birth, reducing infant mortality rate and maternal mortality rate, reducing population growth, which needs to move in tandem with the rate of development, and several others. These cannot happen. They cannot be realized if higher education institutions do not play their part. Traditionally, universities were looked at as places of knowledge production to produce knowledge for its own sake, not for development. You read the idea of a university by Cardinal Henry Newman. I think in the Catholic Church they call him blessed. People moving towards sainthood. He was an archbishop and a scholar. When you read the idea of a university by Cardinal Henry Newman, That time they were looking at a university as a place for knowledge production, producing knowledge for its own sake. But later, a German theorist of political economy and development called Friedrich List argued for education and education institutions to play a role in national development. This concern was taken up very clearly in the innovation systems approach by Krauss, McGrath, Peterson, Gastro, and others, relatively more recently. The innovation systems approach postulates that the ability of businesses to be competitive increasingly depends on their capacity to apply new knowledge to their products and processes. You cannot have competitive business if you cannot apply new knowledge to your products and to the processes. Recently, our students of business went to do a bit of community engagement in the suburbs around, in Kabalagala, in Kansanga, and in Zambia. And they were asking those who were running businesses that, do you know your customers? He said, well, people come and buy, and I give them the merchandise, and they give me cash. So are these mainly women or men? I'm not sure. Are they young or old? I am not sure. Are they school-going children, or these are the elderly? I am not sure. So you can see how we do businesses. So the question was, do you have times when they do not buy? Said, yes, I have those times when they do not buy. Do you know why? No. It may be that people buying from you are students and they have gone back at school. Or they are pregnant mothers and now they are looking after their children. They are waiting for the next pregnancy. So you can see, people doing business, they are only selling. And they don't know whether people buying from them are mainly Muslims or Christians, so that they know what to stock. They are just selling. Some things go, others don't go. You know? The students of business here need to do that kind of engagement around here to know whether people know who is buying from them, the times when they are likely to be buying, and so how to stock according to those customer interests. So there should be production and dissemination of scientific and technological knowledge in an interactive process of many types of actors, such as businesses, private and public laboratories, universities, and others. Innovations are characterized by fundamental uncertainties. And so they have to be a collective undertaking. Without having the knowledge to run a business, to run an industry, you cannot develop that business or the industry. This is where actually universities come in. Universities today are being asked to generate knowledge, facilitate the application of that knowledge, and growth of capabilities at the community and industry level. So there is a new term called the knowledge economy. The rise of this new concept of knowledge economy dictates a new conception of the role of higher education institutions in the development of the areas where they actually are located. What we refer to as community engagement. We have said universities have gone away from the ivory tower concept, where they are just standing tall and you can't come in. They are secluded from society, to resource centers. The VC was talking about BSU becoming even an operational wealth creation center. This is where higher education is going, and I want to thank Bishop Stuart University for taking the lead in this direction. This is commendable. So universities have got several roles to play. They can play the role of scientific advisory, or what we call communicator role, where they can help to disseminate research project results and advise on appropriate courses of action. They can play the role of inventor or innovator by engaging in creation and diffusion of cutting-edge technologies and innovative ideas. They can play a role of revitalizing or retrofitter, that is working with external developers and authorities to improve existing infrastructures rather than pursuing new developments. They can also be developers and help to design new development for infrastructure, for industry, models for community development. To help add value to the communities. They can help to empower communities as change agents to be able to self-diagnose problems and create conditions that will lead to self-realized transformation. That's one thing that universities need to do, to help empower the communities around. And when we talk of community engagement, we are looking at two categories of communities. The immediate community in the neighborhood, we are referring to a geographical community, but also to professional communities. You could look at parish priests and parish councils for those studying theology and divinity as your professional community. And you say we are going to work with those to transform their livelihoods working with the parish councils. And you say this is our, you can identify a professional community. So those who will not be in the immediate neighborhood, you may have to move a distance from here. They can provide lifelong learning to people and so help to remove barriers to learning, making it possible for people in the villages to access universities, but also taking the university to the villages. There is something to be done there. I have been reading research by Wilson Mujizi, which has been published in Elixir Social Studies on the role of universities in achieving growth and vision 2040. Some of these are real and others are potential roles. That higher education institutions can influence the development of improved technology. They can promote national unity, can support implementation of a civilization dialogue for shaping one kind of culture, reminding students of the importance of achieving national unity. They can help to promote democracy and peace, promote community work and development, and of course provide avenues for lifelong learning. There are challenges that higher education institutions face in trying to do all this. I'll try to be brief on the challenges. The common ones that we all know are financial challenges, poor resource base, financing or funding that is limited and sometimes erratic. So you don't even know when you will get the money. It becomes very difficult to predict. If we are relying on tuition fees, it means we are relying on the conditions, including environmental conditions that will happen in rural areas. If there are no harvests and no sales for agricultural products, you will not get tuition fees here. This is how uncertain it is for some of the universities to be able to plan, because you plan with resources. There's limited technology, hampering innovation, hampering effective teaching and learning because we need technology, and of course also hampering community engagement. Because we go to the community with some technology to demonstrate the application of science in real life. The other time, we were with Professor Kamatenes meeting the Minister of Information of STI, Science, Technology and Innovations. I come from public health field, and STI means something else. So Dr. Mudisha, we mean science, technology and innovations, not the other STIs that we talk about in public health. The minister tasked all the universities, every university, to identify a community around and demonstrate the application of science as a change agent in that community by causing transformation. So higher education institutions need to do this. So we have limited technology. We also have limited human resource. They were introducing people, and I heard of only 2 professors. I think others did not come. But it tells me that there are few. Okay? Those who are on the staffing, I don't mean the chairman of council. Those who are on the staff of BSU, they mentioned, there was the VC and they mentioned one other professor. It means that they are actually few, even if others may not have come. It is not only here. It is everywhere. There is limited human resource. Few professors, few doctoral level instructors, but there are also a few instructors with rich industry experience, like Madame Bibangamba, a practitioner who also can teach. There are people that I have coined a name for. I call them pra-academics, practitioners who actually can teach and do research. These are people who tell you how to do it, because they have actually done it. But how many can you get? The bulk of the professors we have are those who got a first class, second class up and became teaching assistants and then lecturers and went for masters, got PhDs. So they have been struggling to work while they are teaching by engaging in several projects so that they acquire experience while also they are teaching. But we are talking about people who come with experience that is already rich. They are actually not many. There is also poor governance and poor management as a challenge. You've heard of many problems of strikes by staff in universities, supported by some members of council, and then other members of council against the strike in some universities, but these are mainly in public universities. We thank God that in private universities, we've not heard of strikes. There is also a reason, thank you very much. There is actually also a reason for this. It's because the mission is different. The mission is different. When you come to a private university to look for a job and you do the interview and get the job, the next thing they should tell you is that, congratulations, you got the job. But this job depends on you. It depends on you. You don't do your work, we will not have students, there will be no money to pay you. You teach the students, you make them competitive, engage in with communities and make a difference. Our enrollment will grow. Our opportunities to work with the industry will grow. We'll have more money, and your salary will even increase. So the job here, don't look to the VC, if you're a member of staff, to say, but we want, you create that money. In a public institution, it is somehow different. If the institution closes, you still get the money. If students don't pay, you may actually still get the what? Still get the money. So that's why the attitude is somehow different. I was part of the public service reform where we said people in higher levels of government should work on contracts so that the idea of jobs for life is done away with. And so they started with permanent secretaries. I think they went down to say, sign a contract. So after that contract, you know there is going to be renewal. I work under a contract or on a contract. So what I do every day, I remember that my contract, and in fact for us in private universities which are non-faith based, our contracts are not even like yours, Professor Kamatenes. For me, I sign what they call an at-will contract. An at-will contract means that tomorrow I can say I'm not coming back at office. I had already organized the books. Go and my PA will show you everything. I'm not coming. But they can also ring me and say, please don't come back. Thank you very much. You have been a good vice chancellor. Don't come back here. May God bless you if they say so. And I will not complain. It is contractual. I have signed that I agree. It's called an at-will what? Contract. The beauty of an at-will contract is that it keeps you focused to your job all the time. When I took office, I had served as a DVC for 6 months, and I had just completed my probation. Then they told me that I needed to take over as the vice chancellor. I raised some questions. Promotions always come with good news, but mine came with a bit of questions. I said, why? What has happened to the old one who was here? How long had she served? Professor Kamatenes remembers her friend, Professor Koi Tirima, who was a very hard-working lady. But also the one before her had served for around 8 months, then 12 months. People were serving for about 12 months maximum. So when I took office, somebody came to me and said, oh, sorry. I said, why? Said, because we thought we were going to stay long with you. You have innovative ideas. You have really changed many things in a short time. Now that you have taken this office, you are going. These people can't work with a person in that higher level for 1.5 years. They can't reach there. And he started giving, examples which were real. And I could see them. I told him 2 things. I said, one, I said, are you a believer? I mean a believer in God. He said, yes. I said these things of he is omnipotent, he's omnipresent, he's omniscient. Don't think they are just abstracts. I said I will be here for as long as God wants me to be here. He said, well, your God will not do that because he has not done it before. I said I can even leave next week if he wants me to leave. But if he wants me to stay, I am going to be here. And you are also going to be here. Don't get worried. Then I said the second thing, have you done some bit of investment in education? He said no. I said, let me help you because I started the school way back in 1995, immediately after my exams in Makerere. People that have invested their money in a particular venture, they want immediate results. They are not patient because there is a lot to lose. If they find any indications that you are not the kind of person they thought they wanted, they will stop you immediately, even if it means paying you. They will pay you and say, you go. But they are clever, you sign an at-will contract. So they say, don't come back. So I said, I know actually, probably why people leave. I have also had a few headmasters that have served a short time. But I said, now I have one that has served close to, actually now more than 10 years, 12 years. It's because he's doing the right thing. So I said, I want you to work with me so that we meet the expectations. But I said, for us to do that, we have to work hard. We also have to know what St. Paul said, that our sufficiency comes from God. And so as I started working in the office, I built a fellowship. I started building prayer groups in an institution that was secular. On 30th of July, I will complete my 6th year. So recently he came back to me, actually last year. He said, hey, I think your God is working. I said, he always works. He always works. But you should work knowing that you are accountable to him. That is very, very important. Because you can actually confuse your masters. They may not know what you are doing, and you can confuse them with cooked up figures. You cannot confuse God. So you have to be very, very original and very sincere. Other challenges relate to pedagogy. There are pedagogical challenges. We are still using methods that promote banking education. The term banking education was first used by Paul Freire, a Brazilian academic reformer. He said this is characterized by memorization of facts, reproducing of the same knowledge that the teacher gave you, regurgitation of answers, you know? And in the end, there is nothing, there is no value addition. We are still using the same methods. When we went to National Council for Higher Education and said, we are asking to administer exams that they call open book exams. They said, so he's going to be invigilating. I said, no one. I said, it's open book, so there is no invigilator. In fact, they can even come with the book, so why do you come there? Why do you invigilate? They are asked even, they are allowed to come, that's why they are called open book exams. I said, but exams where there is no invigilator. How about copying? I said, copying from where? The answers are not in the book. Then I explained that to give open book exams, this is what we mean by open book exams. We will train, first of all, the teachers on how to give open book exams. They are not going to be asking students to outline the characteristics of a sole proprietor. No. They are going to present a problem which you can solve using that knowledge. So in fact, you can access the knowledge. But the task is to use it to solve a what? A problem, or create a model that can immediately cause an improvement in operations. So I said there is no cheating. And we can ask these questions over and over again. There was a professor at Harvard who had been asking the same question, and this time around, he also said the same question. So the secretary came running and said, Professor, but you asked the same question, which you asked the last year. And the students have already been revising it. Yeah, he said, continue and type the question. The question is still the same, but the answers have changed. Okay? So I think we need to apply methodologies in teaching and learning that transform learning and knowledge acquisition from just acquiring knowledge to applying the knowledge to solve a problem. And so you can in fact do the exam where you are. And let me tell you something else. How about if you discuss with someone? There was that question. What if I discuss with someone and then the person explains the answers to me? I said, first of all, there is learning. If you explain with somebody, you discuss with someone, there is learning. You see, there are different forms of assessment. The traditional form of assessment called assessment of learning no longer makes sense. Where you teach and at the end, you set questions from what you taught and you expect people to give you the answers so that you assess whether they actually learned what you taught them. It's called assessment of learning. Now we talk for learning. Assessment for learning is where you use the exam as an opportunity to reinforce the learning so that people can learn more than they did in class. When I went through that model, I was in Indonesia. I came back full of ideas, and so I set some questions that were slightly different from the traditional questions. And I told my students, I was teaching epidemiology. I said, question number 1 will be this, number 2 will be this, number 3 will be this. So they started revising. A deputy vice chancellor for academic affairs passed there and they said, you people, it's coming to midnight, you are still revising. He said, there is going to be an exam and these questions will come. He said, well, they may come, they may not come. He said, no, the teacher said they will come. So the DVC picked interest. The following day, there was an exam and the questions came. Students did the questions. But before I finished marking, there was a meeting of deans. There used to be a committee of deans. And so the DVC called me. He wasn't the chairperson of the committee of deans because he was not a dean, but he was a member of that committee as the DVC Academic Affairs. When I reached there, he said, now I'm calling this man. We know he's a reformer, but now he has gone beyond the limits. He has given people the questions, and he has gone ahead to bring the same questions. He has leaked his own exam. Actually, the chairperson of the committee of deans, who was my friend, wanted to help me. He said, I think this is a meeting, we have an agenda, and it's not good to ask somebody to answer questions when he has not prepared himself. So he said, John, do you want to answer? Do you want us to continue with the meeting and we give you time? You will go to his office and sort these matters. I said, no, I want to answer now. So, I said, you people are all teachers. Do you know the key intended learning outcomes in your different courses of study? And I want to summarize. The one who is keeping time, if you tell me I have 3 minutes, I will finish in 3 minutes. So, I said I have been teaching epidemiology, and I don't want a situation where there is a disease outbreak in a district, and a graduate from here cannot manage such a disease outbreak. I don't want that situation. And I'm not sure that everybody understood me in class. I'm not even sure that all students will attempt that question. So I have picked it as a key learning outcome and another one, about 4. And I said I will set questions. And I said this is called assessment for learning, not of learning. Because they knew I was going to set the questions, even the one who had not understood it had to approach those who understood to be able to learn it. They have all learned it, and in fact they have all passed it. But I don't care. What I'm happy about is that when there is a disease outbreak, they will know what to do. So it became a matter of debate. One dean who was a dean of faculty of business said, I am going to adopt the same method. This is called what? I said assessment for learning. He said, I will do the same. Because he said, we have some students who cannot, write books of account. Because they didn't understand in class. But if they know it is going to come, they will make sure that they actually learn it. So I think we need to revolutionize our methods of teaching, our pedagogy, but also our methods of assessment. Madam Vice Chancellor, there is actually limited academia industry interaction. Very limited academia industry interaction. And because of that, even when we know the people that we should produce, we do not know particular specifications. What level of detail in terms of skills should they have on certain things and not others? We do not even know about the disposition, and we don't mind about it. Are we training people to work in urban areas or in rural areas? I have seen in the Archdiocese of Kampala, priests who were posted to rural parishes and they refused to go. In the Catholic Archdiocese. In fact, one started a different religion, and he was my former student. He's now a bishop in the Eastern Rite, something. But you see, the disposition of training, is it one that tells a person you can work in a rural area as well as in an urban setting? Or the disposition is for training for only white-collar jobs and in certain settings, either urban settings only and not rural settings? When I finished university and went to Rwentobo in Ntungam, people said, why are you doing this to yourself? Student, now you are going to a rural area to bury yourself there. I said, no, I'm going for rural transformation, actually. I'm not burying myself there. I'm going to work with the community, but also to learn from the community. And me, I was very, very happy to go and fold my trouser and meet people at the drinking places, the bars, and tell them how much money are we spending every day on smoking and drinking. But you are in a grass-thatched house. Actually, you can afford to buy one iron sheet a month. And 30 of us can buy them this month and give them to one of us. Then another month, we'll buy them and give to a second person. You need 30 months, all of us will be out of grass-thatched houses. And we started. When we built the 6th house, another group called me, said, we want to form also one. I went there, we formed. We had reached round 6, another group called me. At some point, I said, no. You have learned what to do, go and do it or leave it. It is working, you can see it. So just do it. And several houses sprang up, and they were calling them Mujisha's houses. I did not build those houses. I just shared an idea, and it caused transformation. I was not buried in the rural area. I was not buried there, and I came out of there, but I still go there. So we need a disposition that tells students that they can go to America, they can also go to Chabujimbi. In fact, you can be more useful in the US if you have gone to Chabujimbi. If you didn't go to Chabujimbi, you will go to America and see stars. I'm telling you. Okay? If you have not gone to Rukoni, to a rural area, to Nyachera, the rep of the bishop knows those places. You will not come to Mbarara and become useful. Because you will be limited in terms of experience. There are also COVID-related challenges, of course: total shutdown, lack of access to technology, poor connectivity, policy delay on order. Because that time they said, even when you have capabilities, do not continue implementing the curriculum until we have all understood these things and how they work. Limited experience in virtual and distance learning. lack of technical skills to work virtually and with technology. Of course, also absence of training in what we call trauma-informed pedagogy. You see, when people have been hit by COVID, you just can't conduct the class the normal way. Because you are dealing with human beings that have actually been traumatized. A teacher has to start differently. First, create connection with the students from a perspective of what is happening. But also, trauma-informed administration. I think many of us continue to work with colleagues and to continue with our management the way we were doing before COVID. Yet some of them were really bruised. And so even the administration has to change a bit. Because you are dealing with different people. They are the same, the way you look at them, but they have actually been affected. Especially during the other second wave, when almost every family was visited. So, how do we manage? We quickly had to move from on-campus learning to emergency remote learning, and in fact to complete e-learning for some of the universities. We had to do that. We set up COVID committees. We implemented the SOPs and did all those. The experience we got from COVID-19 pandemic is not going to go away. It gave us lessons that have transformed higher education institutions completely. And we're not going to remain the same. And I want to concentrate on that. The focus of modern universities now, in the post-COVID-19 era, one, is to retrain a teacher to become a multimedia and technology enthusiast, a kind of person who is able to facilitate learning and understanding via instructional guidance and support using technology and the internet. This is very critical in the post-COVID-19 era. Number two, also the curriculum and the syllabus. The roadmap for students' learning experience with assessment milestones, that has changed a bit. Professor, we need to integrate within our teaching a technology-mediated hour. Me, I did that. Actually, I did it in 2017, before COVID-19. And some people went to the National Council for Higher Education to say, he has created the hour for self-learning where people are not teaching us. They are cheating us. There was that resistance initially. But then I kept talking to groups of students, but also telling the teachers how to administer that one. It is focused on the learning outcomes, which are clearly spelled out. But students were given assignments to do using the internet and using technology. So I started initially what I called a 3+1 model, 3 hours of teaching in class and 1 hour that is purely technology mediated. And the students, either working individually or in groups, had to work using technology and to post the answers online. And the teachers were required to mark them online, give feedback, also online. 2017. And we struggled with that. They later came to appreciate when there was shutdown of institutions and we said we are going to work online. They said, hey, these skills, we can actually do it. So this is something that you may need to think about. A student has to change. A student now in the post-COVID-19 era has to be an active self-learner who leverages instructional guidance to become job-ready by demonstrating proficiency of knowledge and competencies, to work physically, but also to work remotely. Most of the jobs you are going to get are going to require you to work from home. So you need to do that. I'm coming to the closure. The pedagogy needs to combine both in-class and out-of-class experiences to involve assigning exercises and case studies that require individual but also team efforts, so as to promote individual formation and development, but also ability to work with teams. Even if they are working virtually, they should be able to do this. And of course, using both physical resources, but also digital resources that Professor Kamaten has talked about here. To do this, there is a kind of operational preparedness framework that you need. Facilities, equipment, ICT support, internet, email services, devices, database, of course, logistics and money. If you do not already have it, and this is the very last point, you will need a learning management system, a modern one that has got educational features. For instance, student-centric solutions that create personalized learning paths for each student. Modern learning platforms actually are able to do that. There is personalized learning, and every student is pursued as an individual. Collaborative learning should also be enhanced by the same learning management system, where there is interaction with other students, but also with instructors. Why regulators were emphasizing contact classes, it was because of what they call synchronous teaching and learning. Synchronous teaching and learning is where a teacher is actually speaking and people are listening at the same time. Distance learning was asynchronous. And so even when they are assigning the weight of the lectures, they actually assign more units, more credits to contact classes. But now you have heard from the Vice Chancellor when she was talking here that you can actually do synchronous teaching online. You are talking and the whole world is listening at the same time. But over and above that, those who missed can actually review the recording later. The platform should be intuitive, cloud-based. It should use artificial intelligence and offer lots of pedagogical design services. It should be able to help you to do several analytics. For instance, I'm able to draw a graph of how many teachers have been attending to students online. At a mouse click, I'm able to know who logged on to, who answered the students' questions, how many students asked questions, how many got the answers. Within the 24 hours, as our standard is, you are able to know all those. The beginning can be a bit tough. But I want to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that when you start, actually the continuity is highly enjoyable. Because teaching online is not like teaching physically. It means that at night, you can in fact go on the platform, see how many of your students asked questions, respond to those questions, dedicate 30 minutes. And you know, with technology, once you go in there, you will in fact keep going. Somebody needs to remind you that, you know, you need to sleep. It has reached midnight. It's not boring. It's highly enjoyable. I want to mention that in the post-COVID-19 era, universities have to change. We have limited funds. We can engage professors to teach online and they don't have to come here. Some can even volunteer. Others can ask for very little amount of money. I have taught for the University of Ibadan while in Kampala. And I have not asked for money. They have just given me some token of appreciation. I said I can do this for you. I have taught for them advanced research methods. And I think I will send here my doctoral student to the REC for clearance because she's due for data correction. So there is a lot we can do, and this can save resources They can save costs. But all this begins with mindset change. I want to thank you for inviting me to share on this topic with you. I want to thank you for listening, but also for accepting to go and change. May God richly bless you.
Let's add another clap. A big applaud for this wonderful presentation. Thank you so much, Professor John Mugisha, for this wonderful presentation. Back on the program, we are supposed now to have the discussant. We would receive comments and questions, but then we shall have them after the discussant. And the discussant is Mr. Herbert Mugumya, and Mr. Herbert Mugumya will be discussing online, and he is a senior regional director both in Africa and Asia on Population Action International. Those who are connecting with him, is he online yet? Is he ready to take on, to present? Or
yes, I'm online. I'm online.
That's
can
good.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. You can now start the discussion.
You can see me. I have been locked up in the Kampala jams and traffic, so I have parked somewhere along the road.
Okay.
So that I can speak to everyone, but you will bear with me.
Thank you. So you can start and give the discussion.
That's the beauty of that's the beauty of digital technology. First of all, let me.
Okay, you're most welcome.
For such a wonderful presentation and other presentations that have been made. I've been waiting for about close to 3 hours now, and I'm so worried that my batteries will shut down. But just want to make it very quick so that then I don't take you for a long haul. The Vice Chancellor, the entire faculty at PSU, our guest speaker, Professor John Mugisha, the students, ladies and gentlemen, I must say that I am privileged and honored to speak to you on this very special occasion when you are celebrating yet another academic year. And I want to join PSU once again because I have been at PSU, I think they are around 2 to 4 years, since 2004, and I left, but I remained around. So I'm happy to be joining, but also to just say that I'm proudly associated with PSU for all the success that we have had. And Professor Mauda enumerated many of them, the huge changes that are happening at the university. I'm also happy that you paired me with Professor Mugisha. It's my first time to meet you, though online, virtually, but I've listened to you. These are the brains we need, and most especially here in Mbarara, where a majority of the students are no longer crossing Katonga looking for education in Kampala. So as more and more of students are coming from, that's the best. I've looked at the topic, and I must say that I had so many ideas around my mind, but I would narrow them very quickly and down just to make sure that I can pick out or tease out what I think is very, very important for this conversation. And I will start with what I see as progress and also as challenges. Now, I'm not an academician. I tried to become one, but somehow I kept on dropping out. Why? Because at the time, for example, I enrolled for a PhD in the US, thinking I would do it online. They insisted that I have to be there physically, you know, to get that time from my employer. So I dropped out, and I have opted to continue doing online courses and where physical. But I must say that learning never stops, whether we are physically there or not. What is important is that we there is a lot that is going on. We all know, for example, students, they that is learned, but has to generate evidence that informs. So for many of us to go and participate in research, in policy and practice, so that we can see human impact of the education that we receive. How does education, learning, skilling transform humans or human society? And this is where I would be making some points. There is no doubt that higher institutions of learning over the decades, especially for BSU, has contributed to a pool of the country's human resource needs. I don't know how many graduates have gone through the gates of BSU, but there must be many, thousands. Uganda education system, I must say that it has its own challenges. For example, there are more primary school enrollment, but at the same time, there are more high school dropouts. And those who survive to go to high institutions of learning, they graduate and become unemployed. The unemployment rate right now, according to UPOS, is 83%. Over 700,000 people, Ugandans, would be ready to work in formal spaces, but only 235,000 get the jobs within that year. So that tells you how many of those that would wish to work but cannot find work in the formal setting. It's very interesting. I know countries like Egypt, they have over 97% completion rate of all their students graduating through university. From primary one to you have over 1 million kids, 1.2 million kids enroll primary one. But out of those, only 700,000 kids complete P7. Some transition to join second education. I had about 450 sit their O-level exam. Now they keep on dropping. The A-level students who sit the exams right now are averagely around 250,000. And those who cross to universities, all of them in Uganda combined, they are not more than 150,000. Ahabana batandikire bari million mwene mtwaro makumi abiri P1. So you can see what this economy is losing if we can have such high levels of dropouts. But even those who graduate, this is my point, they do not formally get employed. Therefore, the current and next generation of youth in Uganda will enter employment opportunities at a time when the labor market is radically changing, and we have talked about that. The emergence of technologies, I am happy to hear that largely the entire compound of BSU is internet Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is very expensive. Not many people can afford that. And for that, we need now to start investing very heavily in low-cost internet connectivity. And therefore, the emergence of new technologies will definitely have to change the skill sets that are needed for anyone, whether you have gone through university or any other higher institution of learning. You definitely have to cope with what is required in terms of skill sets. Now, By 2030, a higher share of professions emotional and technological skills. When you look at the entire region, for example, labor force, and nearly 29 million jobs, which could be available, but only 17% can be occupied. So there is a high risk that unless we start doing things differently, I can assure you it will be tough. I shared a photo of a Makerere University graduation gown, which has been turned into a dress for a poor rural young girl. When you look at those colors of Makerere, and that gown that we used to enjoy it for some of us who went through there, and you look at that gown now has been donated in 2 different pieces to be worn by kids in the village, you start wondering whether people are valuing that education. Why? Because they have sold everything they had to educate their children through university, and the children have walked all spaces and they can't find how they can be gainfully employed so that they can even repay the money their parents had to invest in. Maybe some of those sold their land. And therefore, for me, and this is the biggest concern that I have with so many universities around us, there is practical training. There are also different innovations, as Professor Mauda was talking about. That is very good. But the moment you start hitting the labor market, things change. And once they change, people have to continuously learn to adjust to fit in this changing environment. So I had some few questions. Is higher education training adjusting to the labor markets? Are the current lecturers aware and equipped of what is happening for the jobs that our young people must get? Do they have that in mind? The time I taught at PSU, I was hugely challenged. And I have my own story to tell, and why I had to say I need to stop here. But I remember I went back to the academic registrar, the late Banjarana, and I told him, if I am going to teach, I'm teaching based on the experience of the work that I'm doing from Monday to Friday, because I was teaching on weekends. But because of pressure for work, someone else had to be brought in to teach the same subjects I was teaching, but using university lecture notes that he had picked from Makerere. I was teaching experience, real life things. Someone was reading the same notes he was given in another university to the same students. So I gave up. Do we have the tools to facilitate market-tailored learning? I have seen some schools now, they want all these screens around where they can connect internet and students start learning virtually. Do we have this in universities, or students are still expected to be in that big hall called a lecture? Do we have the digital equipment and internet connectivity sufficient enough with real data that can allow students to download documents and read? So the parents need to also be aware of this, because most of the parents have gone through the analog system. They don't know what is happening now. So are the universities adapting rapidly? And I'm so happy to hear from the 2 professors what they are talking about their own universities. Therefore, I'm posting that we need to do reskilling and upskilling graduates. I would definitely have given you, if I had time, my own life history of 30 years. I got my first degree in 1991. It started jobs 10 times. I have worked for organizations, more than 9 of them. I'm one of those people who are impatient with an organization that does not seem to change or adapt to the new management style, leadership style, technology, most of those things. But of course they tried. Until I think 1 month ago, I was working for an international organization here in Uganda as a country director and chief of party. We struggled through COVID without going to office. These guys brought technology and brought apps. Every system that we have in office is on my computer. Whether I'm in my shamba or in my house or anywhere, I'm able to log on, approve money, approve travel, approve procurement, see who is doing what. Professor Mugisha was talking about trying to see who has logged in, who has taught, who has not taught. Those are things in the labor market that are ongoing. They are just on the fingertips. You transfer money, you pay people money, everything, all your stuff, just sitting in your kitchen. Okay? Now, when I got this job, it is not long ago, it's just like a month, I was given so many countries to look after. 36 countries, all from Mexico, through Africa, through India, Asia, Pakistan, to Indonesia. And every day I'm speaking to different people in different countries and going through what programs we need to implement and what is going on in those countries. If I need, I will definitely travel there physically. But right now, I'm managing things even when I'm sitting in my car, somewhere along the road. And therefore, young people must know, as they graduate from the university, that what they learned from the university is just basic and a starting point. The more learning is going to be out there in the field. And the very, very important thing that the universities have to do is to invest in these young people doing internship with credible organizations where they can get mentorship that can enable them to quickly adopt the current skills. What I see in my office and what I have been observing is that even getting internship is a very huge struggle. But the most important thing is, I hear that they go out during their holidays, semester between semesters, and start finding some work. But when those guys get there, they are not even given the opportunity to sit on a computer. Instead, they are just roaming around the offices, pushing papers here and there. So it takes a very strategic intervention for the university to allow these students to be in credible organizations that add them value in terms of from theory to practice. And then they can start thinking how they can do things. You talked about thinking outside the box. And let me tell you right now, non-formal sector versus government or civil service, if you wanted to compare the two, the non-formal sector is currently absorbing 200,000 jobs annually. And the government can maximally go up to 15K. Mtorogo Ministry. So, while you are teaching these students, many of them think that they are going to be like their uncle, auntie, who is sitting in a government institution, those beautiful offices with neckties and everything. Things have changed. Those opportunities are not there. And instead, for us who are in non-government, we are employing those who are very good and coming out of government. Because many of them are redundant and bored there, but they just get some money and the life continues. So I'm marketing for young people to join civil society organizations and contribute to labor absorption. The private sector is very vibrant, and there are so many things that are happening. I do multiple things, and one of the things that I do is to run a shop. It is a big shop. Many of you know it, are in interiors. We employ 10 graduates and 8 of them from BSU. Within 2 years, there are 2 guys that impress me most because I had to give them money, go open a similar shop in another town, let's say Kagohe or Isinjiro or wherever, and I say, go and sell the similar goods, whatever the difference is yours, for me you pay back my money and I will continue to give you goods. Within 2 years, these guys are becoming millionaires. Why? Because they have adjusted very quickly on how they can go into the market. And don't ask them which course they studied. No. The whole thing is about getting prepared in mindset on how to survive in this environment. Very, very, very quick and sharp. So, the young people should not always think that when you go through the university, what you are going to expect is to be like your dad or uncle, whoever. Never. Okay? I'm not about saying that people must rush for money versus, other professions. No, that's not the thing. But the most important thing is, how do you prepare a mindset of a young person on how to face the world? So, universities must find ways of collaboration with non-government institutions. We are the biggest employment sector in this economy. But are higher institutions training graduates to be positioned for this? Of course, faith-based institutions have tried. If you look at each diocese, there are so many people employed there. I've seen the DS sitting in the room. He knows how many people he's employing. Okay? I did some work and I worked for Ankole Diocese. For a short time, it was about 1 year. But the skills I got on that job, I can testify that up to now, I will die remembering the impact of the skills I got from that one individual who trained me how to do community work. Professor Michisha, you say you can be in Chabujimbi, but you use the skills you obtained from a Chabujimbi community to work globally, and that's me. I picked all the skills I needed to be where I am now, because I'm doing public health work, just like as you said, from going to Chikagate, Bugamba, Rukoni, wherever, all those spaces that we used to go. It's very interesting. So, what are the options that we have right now in terms of human resources? I can tell you, there is so much about labor externalization, and largely a lot of labor exploitation. Those chaps, when they are taken out there, they can maybe be earning 1 million, but the conditions are extremely harsh. So, what should the government do? Instead, they are saying they are doing young people a favor. Just group them, put them on a plane, dump them in those countries. Some die, some starve, some survive, some come back. It is a hell of things. And yet, if this government was a little bit serious through the East African community, would have some labor migration. Someone trains here, goes and works in Rwanda, Burundi, Tanzania. Okay, we have been in those countries working. But I can tell you, even when politicians promise never happens. I saw many Ugandans locked up in Dar es Salaam cells just because they don't have work permit to go and teach in a private primary school or secondary school. And yet they talk about, labor migration, open economy, cross-border, whatever. All that is nonsense. It doesn't happen because of our politics. So, is the labor export to the Middle East, for example, because we have excess graduates, the solution to our economy? Is that what every parent would like to see their children do? My brother finished PhD and he said, please give me 5 million, I get a passport to the place and I start working. I said, no, I will not give you this money. I know you can go, but you have to stay here. And I'm so glad that within the 3 years now, he has somewhere he's working in a civil society organization. And he's extremely very happy that he survived being dumped on the plane. So, we need to make sure that we work very closely with some optional labor opportunities that we have that can absorb as many young people as possible. And I'm not talking about young people who go through university and get a degree, but even those who go after senior 4 and they do a technical course. After, all these institutions, they are all very, very important. The skills they get are very critical. For some of us, we do not even remember the course we did at the university. If you tell me what I studied at the university, I said, yes, I did that course, but I'm doing things completely different. I have engineers who don't practice engineering at all, and they are doing marketing stuff. Doctors of medicine who are no longer practicing medicine, and they are doing things, management. money. Yeah, other stuff completely different. And this is my conclusion. And the government will not be able to create opportunities for young people by continuing as business as usual. There has to change, and private universities must show the way. Cavendish, PSU, all these others show the way. Do not bring lecturers who are going to copy and paste notes from their previous lectures. Just you think they are training our students. They are not. They will just graduate, carry the gown home, and they will sit there and they start watching TV with their parents. And I've seen this, and I've seen parents really scratching their heads in what they can do with the young people. Heavy and growing populations resulting from government fiscal burden with a limited ability of creation of jobs for this current generation, I can tell you, is, if not a disaster, it can be an opportunity as long as whatever is being churned out of institutions is quality, or if they get out, then they are given the skilling up that is needed for them to compete. Many people will tell you, I need capital. How can I start something? Even if it is consultancy, even if it is something like this or that, how do I get it? And I can tell you, it is like the chicken and the egg thing. I don't remember looking for capital in a bank to start a small business. No. And I can have that conversation with young people separate. And I can give them real win on how many people have been able to grow even without stepping into a bank to get money. And why? Because our faith teaches us to be very honest, to be very respectful, to have those values for which someone trusts you, and then they can give you what to do. So, our young people are very impatient. They are not trustworthy. Majority of them, you test them with something small, they squander it, and you just wonder where they will be ending. And that's the society we are having. I just must say, as I end, that COVID-19 has taught us how to do business unusual. The disruptions that we had, I can tell you, I even had to regret why I had opened the offices, because my staff never sat there for 2 years. I never sat in the office. All of you see me in Mbarara every day. But I'm working, I'm earning, and programs are going on, you know? So the whole traditional setup, which I call analog, people thinking that you can only be productive to be seen in an office, is all gone completely. It's not there. Even learning, you know, I am looking forward to, as Professor Mauda says, that you can learn online and get your PhD, and I will come and enroll and pay my money again. Maybe this time I will get it. But as long as it can make me, you know, feel while working in a space that I think I can be more productive and, but at the same time add knowledge and maybe do something else. Otherwise, I want to thank you so much for your time, for listening to me. Thank you so much for all the developments that have happened at PSU. You are now a living example of a transformational university. And I can always refer anybody to come to PSU. Why? Because I know the current talk, as you clearly spoke this afternoon or evening, is a demonstration of your willingness to change what has been going on and transform to adapt the current learning requirements. Otherwise, thank you so much. I would like to sign off right now, and I'm happy my battery didn't shut down, but I am not going to be part of the conversations because right now I have to leave, but I'm always available, and I always thank you so much for adding value to our young people. Have a blessed evening, and God bless you too. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Herbert Mugumya, for discussing the presentation by Professor John Mugisha. And now we are going to receive comments, questions from the audience, and then our RCC wanted to start giving the comments, and the platform is yours.
Thank you very much. Our guest speaker, who is none other than an eloquent professor, I had taken some time without hearing such people with smart brains presenting. And he's not so old, he looks a young man. When I was getting in, I heard the speech of a wonderful lady. Professor, you spoke like my mother. Sorry, I'm equating you to my mother because of the story that I'm going to say here briefly on the history of education. My mother, who is very old now, attended school from Berkeley High School in Uganda and Busoga. But she studied and there was no more schools to attend. So she graduated after learning these domestic things, how to look after children, how to look after the husband, how to polish the shoes. Because you remember the history of Berkeley High School, one of the first oldest schools in the country, 1903 establishment, was established to produce educated women for the educated men from Busoga College Muhiri. That is how it came about. So when my father was busy traversing the region collecting cotton at the time, my mother was donated to my father because he was working with a white man, driving a truck at that time. So my mother had nowhere to attend school because she had reached the apex then. Maybe it was the PhD of the time. So it was donated to my father. So when you talk about the history of where we have come from, I want to underscore a few things that we have been able to achieve during the current regime of President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, as per the theme of the day. One is that what I learned from the COVID pandemic management challenge, but let me talk about the benefits first. Disasters sometimes are agents of change. Ugandans, we've been very lucky that we have lived under a lot of comfort, that we have not become too much innovative. But God, those developed countries where Professor has been quoting, even winter alone, the change of the weather hardens people. They start being innovative to find a way of surviving. But here you can drink your water, sleep on the way, and instead of going back the following morning, you return to the barn, you can still continue surviving. Not for a week, but even years, you can earn your record. I would like to underscore and point that universities shape urbanization. Bishop Stuart is located in Mbara City, a new city, which came in a short time. The residents never understood the concept of a city. Because the city, I know, to the best of my experience and training, cities come with the one challenge called urbanization. And managing the urbanization process is really a big challenge. As we are coming with my team, I told them about one thing that the president always talks about. I said, how can we have road network that can push this city into the city that can be on form for the next 50 years? Because there was jam along the Kakoba Road already. Now what will it be like tomorrow? Professor who has just been on virtual this presentation is talking about jam. People are wasting a lot of time on the road. But what can the current education system teach those who are coming out of universities today? How can we change that? The president has, I also talked about the regional, can we have a ring road around Mbarara City for easy connection, but as well for tourism? Mbarara is surrounded by beautiful hills all over. But if we had a ring road constructed for the
first time in this city, I know it will change a lot of things. Ease mobility and accessibility. I know we should start looking at this city as our city, as a regional city that is serving not only the people of this region of Western Uganda, but Burundi, Kigali, and other neighboring countries. the president has been talking about regional integration in response to the previous presenter who has been on virtual. I think he has thrown a lot of jabs as challenges to this regime. But the president has done his job. He has been talking about the scenario planning in the military. My elder is there. He knows what they call scenario planning in military. Seeing a problem that will be there in the future and finding solutions to it even before you reach there or before it happens. The president has been talking about regional integration. At one time you heard he even proposed of building the road to Congo. Many Ugandans never understood this because it was at a higher level of conceptualization. That instead of now taking our children to go and work as slaves in the diaspora, if we really built a strong regional integration system, I know that many of the graduates in Uganda here are very useful to many of the countries in the Great Lakes region, because Ugandan education system is rated one of the highest in the region and beyond. President has been talking about build Uganda, buy Uganda. How many people have been picking this? Today the prices go high. How many people in Western Uganda are growing sim? Oil products that produce can bring about oil products. Are people changing their mindset? How many people are ready to give up their farms for diversification? As Professor Maud has been talking, said we have an officer here, and a professor for wealth creation. Can we really continue building only wealth from one sector? And yet most of the data things we are using, we need the products to be made here to safeguard us. I know a lot needs to be done. Then technology, as I wind up, President has been talking about building infrastructure. Around the budgets of 2000 and the subsequent years, we are more about building infrastructure. And very few people understood it. Today we are appreciating it. Technology, when COVID came, people survived by only technology. Ordering for things. Now education has been taken over for good. If you don't survive, you don't appreciate the technology, it is not easy to give the lectures these days. And simplify, it is now even simplified for many people. Lastly, we talk about gender mainstreaming as one of the achievements that we can also say is a big underline for the NRM regime. I talked about my mother, and now see the contrast with the professor whom we have here, Professor Maud. She speaks because the opportunities have been opened up wide and broad for all young men to achieve what they want to do. Lastly, in her presentation, there's something that she never talked about, but I read it there, about the parish development model. How can higher institutions of learning benefit from this and tap from it? Because giving money to the poor people will not benefit them. They may not even come out of poverty. But I know that integrating the parish development model in some of the learning programs and teaching programs of the universities can change our villages, can change our people. The Wananchi can benefit from it. We discussed with one of the professors from Stuart University, and they have the student community training programs. We are proposing that all the communities where those students go to practice the knowledge they earn from class and share with the community who are the bankers of the knowledge be considered for the parish development model, such that the universities continue benefiting by getting the facilitation to the communities that the students interact with during their student training programs. In a similar way, I would wish also to call on BSU to adopt the same concept. For me, I promise that I did not come here to do political economics. The president spoke to me. I'm widely traveled. The professor has been talking about Bologna University. I've ever been there in Italy. I've been to the store of Ravenna. I have been to the oldest museum in China. I've been where the Ming dynasty kept their scripts of their history and their civilization. I've been seeking knowledge going there, not for fun. So the president told me, go to the people of Mbarara and work together with the mayor, work with the community, share your knowledge and learn from them. I'm here to support this university in its efforts on the programs, particularly that deal with the community. Please, Reverend, you are our easiest person. Come over, share with us what you think for me, I'm so positive. I know I will influence the entire office to support, and even the community of development officers and the mayor and the councils will adopt most of the things that you will be bringing up, because I know you do it out of research and in the good interest of the community. Thank you very much. Lastly, let me thank the university as I congratulate you upon reaching 20 years of existence. There is also a team that has come from President's office. They're already here. They came. Some of them, you don't know them. This is a clandestine team. There is a son of a prominent general who is also a member of UPDF. He's here but doing a special reporting about this university and its contribution to the community. I will introduce him to you, Professor, before I leave. And there's also other teams that are also coming for tomorrow's event in particular. So I thank you very much, Professor. Thanks for the presentation. How I wish that these discussions, these presentations are taken even out there to the community. Because some of them are just in hooliganism politics. They don't have facts. Some of them say they hate government. When you ask him, why do you hate government? They can't explain it well. We need to be in a country where we all belong, which is very inclusive, where we can understand. If you slept angry, let me also understand why you slept angry, and maybe we can find a solution together. May God bless you all. I remain Robert Kanusu, the Deputy Resident State Commissioner, Mbarara North.
Thank you so much for those comments. We can give him another clap, another applaud, a big one. Thank you so much. Now we are going to receive comments, questions about the presentation and even the discussant. Though the discussant said he will not be available, but we can still receive the comments from the audience. Before that, I would like to recognize the presence of the representative of RPC, Ruiz region. Representative of RPC Ruiz region, you can wave to your people. Good, thank you so much. And so let us receive comments, questions on whatever has been presented and even discussed. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Bwana Moderator. Those who have come late, I'm Kano Sam Karogo, Morari, in charge of Operation Water Creation, Mbarara District. My sister, Vice Chancellor, I want to thank you on behalf of Operation Water Creation for the teamwork, for the cooperation. We have been working with you since we have an MOU with this university. So we thank you with your team. Secondly, I'm very proud today, Professor, what you have mentioned according the liberalization of the education. I'm one of the liberators of this country. When you mentioned the liberalization by 1986, and I'm among one of those who liberated the country, I was there. I'm the one who contributed for this conducive environment where education are enjoying. And for that matter, we have produced the young cadres. You have seen the representative of the president, now the RDC. Those are our blood, the system which we have built to promote such a good cadres. Deputy RCC, you are welcome. I'm in your division, and you don't know. You are still new, but I'm from Kachika. That is now Northern Division. Bwana Professor Mujisha, we are here to learn. There is one thing I wanted to know. When you mentioned the University of Morocco, Arkaquin, you said Arkaquin. Which year was it funded? Because in your presentation was not mentioned, and we wanted to know, since you have already mentioned the University of Bologna as the oldest, yet the other one also you are saying is an oldest. So we wanted to know which one is the oldest in the world. Those are two things which I wanted to know. Lastly, I'm wishing the new graduates for tomorrow. We are with you. Thank you for being patient, for discipline. And for us in the army, we don't tolerate indiscipline. And that's why we like you here, the Bishop Stuart. We are cooperating with you very well. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for the comments and the question. And I hope the presenter, Professor, you have noted it. Let us receive about 3 more so that a response can be given. Now we have 2 people have commented. Now let us receive 1, and then I give Professor John Mujisha to respond. Okay. Yes.
Thank you so much, Professor, our moderator, the Vice Chancellor, and your guests. Agashamu is my name, and I work in the Bishop's Office as the Education Coordinator. I'm Kore Diocese. I want to respond to one of the issues Mr. Mgumyahabat raised, where he mentioned unemployment as one of the challenges affecting university graduates. Aware of the fact that the President has always talked about vocationalization of education and dealing in science. After the COVID-19, Madam Vice Chancellor, the rest of your colleagues, what are your plans for transiting from the current training you have in your universities to science-based courses? Because people are unemployed because of some of the courses they do in the tertiary institutions. What are your plans also? In addition to seeing what is happening after the COVID. That's one. Secondly, looking at the lower secondary curriculum for presently senior 1 and senior 2, aware of the fact that in 4 years to come, senior 6 graduates will be entering into university. How far have you prepared for those students, especially that they are doing science-based subjects from 42 to 21? How prepared are you to absorb those students? Aware of the fact from something Mr. Mgumyahabat mentioned, those lecturers who used to teach about what they studied when they are at the university. And now these ones who are coming from secondary will come with new skills and different subject combinations. And finally, Madam Vice Chancellor and your guests, issues of the national teacher policy and the new TVET policy. These are the boys and girls who come to our institutions. What are your plans for them as they come here for tertiary education? I thank you so much.
Thank you so much for the comments and the questions raised. And now let us hear. Let's hear from the first. We hear from the presenter. That's Professor John Mujisha, and then the other question was to our Vice Chancellor. She will also get now the time to respond, and then we receive other questions and comments. And for those who are going to graduate tomorrow, we shall have our dinner today. So please, the dinner is for everyone. Be calm, ask your questions, because we still have, your dinner is settled. Don't leave this place. It is being prepared. Thank you.
I will be brief. The VC is whispering to me, and I also know that the chair of council is actually a witness to most of this revolution. You feel always happy when you hear from the horse's mouth. But quickly on the questions, I want to thank Mr. Herbert Mugumya, who made a very good response to the presentation and added lots of good dimensions. One, I will respond to a high unemployment rate, which is there and real. For me, what this means is that we need to change our skilling strategy as universities. By the way, whereas there is high unemployment rate, there are also many jobs where they say we do not have people that are qualified. They don't even apply for those jobs. It means that there is a gap between what we are teaching and what is out there in the field. Most of the jobs are actually lacking people who are qualified, and we continue to teach and award degrees in jobs where, in fields where the jobs are not. So a bit of small research and just interaction with industry, we can change skilling and teaching to make them relevant. But also, we need to create more, to build more capacity for entrepreneurship. Let me tell you, successful people target solving problems. And we have more and more problems that have been created. And many of them require a small thing to solve. I like quoting the boys in camp who sat down. You heard about these special taxis. Also, borders, safe border. They just realized that people are fearing borders. They can rob you, you can be robbed or what. So they crafted the system where they are using safe borders. You call, the system shows them where you are, and they tell you the money is this. So even the border person will not charge you because you already know the price. And that border person, for the person who crafted the area doesn't have any single motorcycle. You come with your motorcycle, you bring your ID, referees. He does his research to make sure that where you are coming from, you are credible. He allows you with your motorcycle. And he's using several hundreds of motorcycles. He doesn't own a single one. And he's just seated in the veranda of his house. He doesn't even have an office, managing a multi-billion now business to solve the problem of security because people can't avoid using borders. The person managing it is just seated not even in an office, just in front of his house or in somebody's garage and running that. So we need to change the strategy and create more entrepreneurship. High dropout rate is there, but Professor Mauda and the chair of council, I think we may need to focus on two things. One, what do these people actually go out with after S4, after S6, after even P7? If they leave, that's not a problem. Can they make a contribution to the society at that level? I'm now happy that the curriculum has actually changed now. There is problem-based learning, and I have a daughter in senior 2. I was impressed with how actually they are studying now and how they are approaching many things. I think this is going to solve part of the problem. But also to know that after every year or even every term, some of the marks are sent to UNEB. So they are not waiting for PLE to know how students perform. No. Some marks are actually sent to UNEB periodically. And those marks will continue to contribute to something. So there is what they call formative assessment is contributing to the final grade. So there is something at that level. Now the other level, Mr. Chairman, Professor Chairman and VC, is it possible to work out a policy where after senior 3 you give me an award, a certificate that I completed senior 3? This is going to happen now with the new curriculum because I have already been assessed somehow. So I think there is already a breakthrough, and I think that can help. So with my senior 3, it is known what I completed, and I'm able to play at my level. Because we are not sure whether you even reached senior 1 if you leave senior 4 before exams in a traditional setting, you couldn't say, I reached senior 3 or senior 4, but first term, nobody will understand. So, let me quickly rush to the issue raised by Kano Sam Karogo on when was Al-Qarawin University started. It was in 587 AD. And it has remained there consistently up to today. 587. It has remained there. It is the only institution that was there and has remained there up to today. Other universities came and some institutions came and disappeared, but that has been there. Then teachers' policy on getting degrees. How can this be realized? Since you run education and they referred it to you, I will hand you the microphone. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Our guest speaker, our bishop, and the discussant, Herbert, although you have logged off, and all of us who are present, I really want to thank you so much, including our deputy RCC. Maybe there is something I would like to say, and I'm requesting the chair council should really say it. With changes in education, I will mention it, and he should really tell you. I have started talking about it in the university because we shared. It was an issue. Do you need, for example, teach tourism, catering, and hospitality management on regular? Why can't it be a weekend that students are working, then they come on a Saturday and Sunday and they study and go back? Because he has a hotel business, he can deploy even if it is Kasese or wherever you can go, and many other people. Why? You will earn, get experience. By the time you finish, you already have a job. You are training someone in catering. Where is catering? Is it here in the university or it is there in the industry? All these cafes, canteens would be using our students. That's the model he was telling me. And actually, me, I support him. But now the lecturers, we academicians, we need to start thinking through. You are training students in the business. There is a student, there is a shop. Actually, there is this salon called New Me, where I go. Right now, they have employed our students who are graduates. They are going to graduate. I told them we need to share your experience. And they were telling me, this, you have gone in a salon, you learn the skills, even there. Because people come to cut hair, nails, treatment, you name it. And the doors are open with our students now. That's why you are saying, are we going to remain teaching in a normal way? But what do we need? We need to sensitize the parents, also sensitize learners. That given freedom to work does not mean they have given freedom to go and look for boys or boys looking for girls or engage in alcohol. Because that's actually the worry of parents. They think their sons and daughters will get spoiled if they are given a whole week and they start over a weekend, they will have issues. But that is what I was telling you. You are a supervisor. You must supervise yourself. Responsibility starts with you. You can work. If you have no job, for example now, if you go in offices here, you will find many of these working mothers are carrying children. They are not maids. What stops you being a graduate? Being given like 3 kids, you take care of them during the week. Because the mother in the weekend is around. For you are doing what? Taking care of these babies. You'll get money. And I can show they will pay. That is one of the concepts that is coming. And someone I think, how do I take care of babies? But, and to my surprise, you find women are the ones who are asking, how do I take care of babies? And yet you are going to be what? Mothers. This is part of the training. The daycares, these kindergartens are going to actually mean much. They are no longer maids. I don't know if you are aware, there are people who are asking where are the maids. They want people who are working. And I know several of my staff here who are using our graduates here, they are taking them at home and paying their fees. There are many. I will not mention them, but I know there are many. You are struggling with fees. Someone is having work to do, and you don't have the money and has the money. Why don't you work? You come here and study. By the end of it, you'll go with your degree. There are those people who are going outside. What are they going to do? Those are the same jobs they are doing. Why wouldn't you do it here in Uganda and earn money and earn a degree and earn experience? Tomorrow you start your own catering services. So Chair Council, I remember you had raised that, and I think it is important to emphasize it to us as a staff for tomorrow. Then for education, we have recess. We have recess programs. Yesterday on the TV, we even mentioned it to the students who are there that you need to come and do programs of education under a recess. We also have postgraduate diploma in education. Let me tell you, there are very many teachers who are needed now. Let me reveal this secret. But it's an open secret to government officials. The primary teachers are very scarce. I don't know if you are aware. And with what is happening, it is very hard to get teachers. Now, for example, public health, sir. Do you need to have students who are doing public health? You know those are the people who have studied physics, chemistry, mathematics, whatever it is. Do you know that during weekdays there could be teachers? During weekdays, they are teachers. Weekend, you come and teach them public health. I can tell you, they will not lack. You would actually see the numbers have increased because they are earning, like students who do these courses like engineering. By the way, besides recess, alumni gave a scholarship, by the way. Those who are there who are doing recess, teachers, the alumni reduced fees by a percentage. It was an offer given to all of them, but they are not aware. I discovered that it was not publicized. So our Diocesan Education Secretary, this is the information you need to take to the teachers, that to support government programs of making sure that primary teachers have degrees. Now the university is open for diplomas and degrees. And that's not all. For postgraduate diplomas, for masters. There is a postgraduate diploma that everyone is yearning for. Or is it postgraduate diploma in education planning and administration and management? It is here in BSU. To be a head teacher, even to start your own school, you need that training. And I want to encourage you learners who have finished here. Please, education is very diverse. It is good you can come back and do a postgraduate diploma in education. Because some of us who are standing on that postgraduate diploma, it used to help very many students get jobs. You can work anywhere, but you are as well a teacher. So you can go anywhere. By the way, teachers have never been fooled. I don't know where teachers, you train teachers, but they all go. Because they are employed everywhere. Me, I would encourage you, here he's telling you, he's a teacher. I'm a teacher. Professor Gasham is a teacher. If you are, the days I don't know if you did education, you feared. So I'm requesting you, please come back. It is actually one source of income. Is employment is available in teaching. But that's also skills. Then we have started we have started diplomas in civil engineering as a university. You didn't know that we have diplomas right now. But these are diplomas that are going to help us go to degrees. The president is giving us money to build the science labs. Today we are actually negotiating, taking on a full contract of a contractor. The building is actually on level 2. If you go the other side, you will see there is a big building, bigger than any of the buildings around. That is a government-funded project by His Excellency Yoweri Kaguta Museveni Tubhaburwa. Yes, who is our guest of honor tomorrow. actually have received confirmation that the vice president is coming here to represent him. So you are having a president here tomorrow. And that building is there to make sure they will start on science-based programs. By the way, even I was told starting nursing in Ruharo, it was because of the president. He was saying, why are you doing arts? You better specialize in sciences. You are all in the know that BSU is well known for agriculture training now. But actually, I received very many people who are calling me, they want farm managers. They are not there. Because all our students, when they finish, they have jobs. I have asked for people to apply. I have 3 prominent professors who have asked me. They want farm managers who are educated, but with integrity. That is one thing. Do you know what people are calling here? They want someone with skills, but integrity is core. You have heard what the presenter said, even what Professor Mcha said. You are in a Christian university. You must know you live here with integrity. If you go without the integrity we have taught you, then you have been wasting your time in a Christian university. But I believe all our learners and our graduates, you all have the discipline, the integrity, the moral standards are very high. Because we have courses, 2 courses we teach here. Christian ethics and understanding the Bible. So surely, how can you go and remain without what you have learned in class, translate it into the field? So integrity is very core. And by the way, I want to report to you that we have programs here that people cherish, like nursing. Our nurses, you can go to any, actually the director, Regional Referral Hospital, Dr. Celestine Barije is coming tomorrow. He said, even the previous one who went, he said the nurses of BSU are different. Why? The way they conduct themselves and what they do when they are on the wards. Actually, we have 2 nurses who are going to recognize even tomorrow because of their distinguished service. At the fight of COVID, one was in grade B. Even in Chitagata, those even went there for internship, they suffered. There is even one who received awards, I don't know how many, from Chitagata, those rural places you are undermining or you think there is nothing to offer. I can assure you, it has put us high. Then we have, like this Nahura Hirari, one of our alumni, who has finished here. He's now a champion in agribusiness. He has a company making lemon aftershave and other products. They are all started from here. So we want to let you know, you come to BSU, promote BSU, and the knowledge you have acquired, please use it. I can assure you, you will not go wrong. But what I take from the discussions here, we are in a rural area, let's take it as an advantage. People who have made it, they have all started where? From the community. And actually, when you say this one, I've been asking myself that we need to move around as a university. We transform this community around. And I remember Minister asked us, said, how can the whole of the university train students and you still have Katanga? You remember when he was asking us? And how she went in and fought cholera and the dysentery. This is Dr. Monica Misenero. So even us, we can make a difference around. Plant trees around, we can partner with the communities. So far we are doing this. We go in the communities, but we want to do it more. I thank you. May God bless you. Chair Council, please say something. DS, you want to go? No, first year from...
Thank you, everybody. Mine is to thank our guest, our chief guest speaker, Professor John Mujisha, for a wonderful presentation. Very transformative. I think we are all transformed tonight. I hope we are not stone crushers. We leave this place teaching with a purpose. If you are teaching an agriculture person, you want him to grow bananas and they grow well. So that when he's learning, he knows he's learning how to do his own farm. That takes me to what he talked about, interaction of academia with industry. And I wonder how many times you have invited my friend Alex Cash to come and give a lecture to business class. You want your students to be like Cash. Let them listen from him. Or Aporo. Let them listen to him. I have a farm. It's not the worst. But I have never seen a BSU student there. I would want the lecturers to book me so that they can come anytime, not wait for 1 month end of the year. But if my cow is going to give birth, then I call the lecturer and say, my cow is giving birth around 6 p.m. You send your student around 4 so that he can see the delivering cow. I can be sure if you send students 1 month in a year, he may never deliver a cow. And yet when he graduates, I'll call him to deliver my cow. Huh? So we need to be very interactive, and we are very willing. And we are a rural university. I'm sure if you take a 20-minute walk from here, you reach an animal farm where students can go. So interaction is very important. I was happy when you said education started in Africa, in Morocco. But those who started it in Egypt and Morocco actually came along the River Nile, from the source of the Nile. So we are the source of education. Let's shine again, because we are the ones who took education to Egypt. Egypt exported it to Morocco. Morocco exported it to Europe. All those Latins, Italians, and Greeks, and Jews actually used to go to Egypt for their academic enhancement. I also love it when you say universities should be operation wealth creation centers. Where else can it be? We are teaching entrepreneurship here. Now, if you are already learning entrepreneurship and the opportunities in the market, in the farm, trading in farms, trading in iron bars, why should a peasant be better than you? So let's use our knowledge to make money. Me, I'm not allergic to money. I love academics, but I also love money. The Vice Chancellor talked about practical learning. Again, just like the farm, I also own a hotel. And I have staff who are interested in teaching. But students are only released 1 month in some part of the year. Huh? And that way they lack practical experience. Why shouldn't students doing hotel management come and work at my hotel in the evenings? Why on weekends can they come and work? So let's study with a purpose. Let's be hotel managers. Let's not be stone crushers. Ladies and gentlemen, I thank you for coming. I thank you for attending. I thank the presenters, discussant, and the questions. Again, it has been truly transformative. I'm sure we shall call you again to give us such lectures, and one day to give us lectures on a permanent basis. Thank you very much. Can I take this opportunity to invite my boss and the owner of the university, the representative of the bishop, the chancellor of the university. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you so much, Professor and Chair Council. Our guest speaker and presenter of today's public lecture and the discussant, Mr. Herbert Mugumya, the chair of the University Council and the council members present here, the Vice Chancellor and the entire staff of Bishop Stuart University, invited guests, ladies and gentlemen, praise the Lord. It is an honor for me to represent my Lord the Bishop and the Chancellor of this great institution, Right Reverend Dr. Fred Sheldon Mwesugwa, who has been unable to make it physically, but I know his heart is here. And so I bring his apologies. He has been unable to make it because of other equally important commitments, but you know that his heart is always in BSU. So he sends his regards and greetings, but I'm very much sure that tomorrow he will be very present to graduate the graduates. Praise the Lord. I would like to, on his behalf again, to welcome our presenter and the discussant to Bishop Stuart University. Thank you so much for considering this public lecture very important and sparing your precious time to come and give this important presentation, which the Chair Council has described as being transformative. And indeed it is so transformative. Let us give him a very big hand clap. Thank you, Herbert Mugumia, much as you have signed out, for also responding very well. I must appreciate you so much for a well-thought and researched presentation and response that we have all benefited from. And I think it is Bishop Sheldon who normally says that while he was still teaching, for him, his students would learn a lot more from what was not on the curriculum than what was actually in the curriculum. And I think that's what our presenter was emphasizing, to really learn more outside the class. And that's what is going to transform our education system and transform this nation and communities. Of course, we cannot go without appreciating the Vice Chancellor and your team, together with the University Council, for organizing this public lecture. We know there are very many people who have benefited, including students and graduates, and those that have been attending virtually. We want to appreciate you so, so much. Thank you for these efforts, and may God continue to bless your efforts as you grow this institution to where it has not even reached. Thank you, Chair Council and your team members, for the wonderful ideas and policies that you're putting in place to ensure that Bishop Stuart University continues going the way and showing the way. We appreciate you so much. Now, to be honest, if we were in a service setting, we would have sung very many tukutenderezas. How many of you believe that? Yes, we would have sung very many tukutenderezas, because this presentation was so inspiring, so encouraging. Of course, the brains are also very smart, and we pray that God alone will continue to bless you for such a preparation. Of course, I want to make a few other comments. One, on the fact that the church, being a church person, on the fact that the church is one of those institutions that started the education system and modern universities. I think I'm very, very much happy about that. You know, many people always ask, how does the church give back to the communities? How does it give back to its Christians? If you can look at how many students graduate from Bishop Stuart University annually, you will appreciate what the church does in this nation and even beyond. Praise the Lord. So we can see that actually the church, for the Bishop Nathan always says, see far. I think the church so far beforehand, and we want to appreciate the effort of the church and the effort of Ankole Diocese. Those who started this university for us, we cannot underestimate their effort. We appreciate them. So this is how the church gives back to the communities. I wonder how many people are employed in church institutions. There are very many. By the way, the church could be one of the biggest employers in this nation. It is. Many people are affirming that it is. So why don't we appreciate the church and its work? Yes, I'm very, very much happy that what we are doing is impacting our societies. So we want to appreciate what the church is doing. And the other point I want to talk about, you emphasized the issue of transformation. Transformation, the reason for which universities exist. You mentioned many other aspects, development and others, but I loved the issue of transformation. That someone enters into the university gate and they are transformed. Their minds are transformed. The way of life is transformed. I want to add another one to qualify it. Let us embrace holistic transformation. We don't want to produce graduates that are going to be highly qualified and their brains are sharp and smart, but when their values and their spirituality is so low. We want to embrace holistic transformation. That is the integrity that the professor, the vice chancellor is talking about. When you go with a smart mind, you can work, actually you go out with skills of a smart mind that will get into a business, and the business that was up there, you bring it down because your mind is so smart you can easily steal. You become a sophisticated thief and they cannot even detect you. So we want to have smart minds that are spiritually transformed and have, values that will transform communities and societies. So I loved the issue of transformation, and how I pray that the graduates and the continuing students will embrace it, that as we get intellectually and academically transformed, we will allow the Lord to transform those hearts, because it is only God who understands the hearts. The lecturers can understand the minds, but God only will understand and work on those hearts. Finally, to the graduates that are here, I want to use a very simple translation of the Bible, and that is good news. Proverbs chapter 4 verse 13. It says, always remember what you have learned. Always remember what you have learned. Your education is your life. Guard it well. Always remember what you have learned. This public lecture has taught us a lot. Always remember it. Your education, not the education in class and the exams and tests and assignments and courseworks that you have done, but real education that is transformative is your life. So guard it well wherever you are, and the Lord will always be with you. In the name of God the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. I wish you very well. Okay. Omusirikare yambuza ngukota atendereza waziberwachi. That is a very good challenge. Mwenu mwemerere tutendereze. Tukutendereza Yesu, Yesu ore mwana gwandega, Yesu musa omsaigunaziza twebaza omulokozi. Just before I pray, much as I represent the bishop, but my name is Edson Awasa. I serve as a diocese secretary of Ankole Diocese. Let us pray. Father, we worship you, we adore you, and we lift your name on high. We thank you so much for this well-conducted public lecture that started well and has ended well. We thank you so much for our presenter, Professor John Mugisha. We thank you for the discussant, Mr. Herbert Mugumya. We thank you for the Vice Chancellor. We thank you for the Council of BSU. We thank you for the staff. We thank you for the students. We thank you for the graduates. We thank you for everybody who has participated, those that are here physically and those that are with us virtually. We thank you, our Heavenly Father. Thank you for the great opportunity and gift of Bishop Stuart University, where very many young people have come, studied, and have gone out with great minds that have been able to transform communities and this nation. And now we pray that for the challenge that is at hand on how we can further improve the education system, give knowledge and skills, and at the end get competencies to come out with holistic transformation. Heavenly Father, we pray that you will guide and help all those that are involved in this education to do it well. Heavenly Father, we pray that you bless this evening, that you bless our function tomorrow, that you will even bring safely the guest of honor, that Heavenly Father, your hand will guide us all through. We pray, Heavenly Father, that you'll continue to be with us, uphold us, and sustain us in the name of Jesus Christ, our Lord. And now may the Lord bless you and watch over you. The Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord look kindly on you and give you peace. The blessing of God Almighty, Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit rest upon all of you, beloved of God. Keep you, uphold you, and sustain you now and always.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats and we'll make a few comments. Yes. Vice Chancellor, please I request that you take your seat, and our chief guest, Professor Mujisha, and the bishop, please. We request that the alumni have prepared a cake, and the chairman of the alumni is here, Mr. Samson. You're welcome. The Vice Chancellor, the alumni would love that you cut a cake with them and the chief guest. The cake is here. You're going to cut it with the chief guest. The bishop and the chancellor is an alumnus of this university. So the representative will again represent him to cut the cake. So Professor John, the vice chancellor, the chairperson of the alumni, please, Samson. Two representatives, the graduates, because this is to usher you into the alumni team. The graduates, please, those that are here, we want two representatives, a female and a male. Okay. Hello? Can we also invite the chair council to be here and cut the cake? The chair council and the vice. And Kano Karogo, as our coordinator on Operation Wealth Creation. Kano, please, we request that you come and join the team here to cut the cake. Kano, we are waiting for Kano Karogo, Sam, to come and join the team here. I'll count in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. After the cake, we have dinner already prepared for all of us. I want to recognize the students of the Western University, Canada, University. They are here. You are welcome. I want to 0. This is an announcement to all of us that are going to access the graduation grounds tomorrow. The team from the State House has come, and one of the things they want every one of us to do is to make sure you go there with a mask. So without a mask, tomorrow we will not access the graduation venue. Come with your graduation gown, but also with a what? A mask. Thank you very much. Dinner now is going to take place. The dinner is for all of us. Don't leave us. Dinner am giving you about 5 minutes as the network because I can see only the plates and the food is not there. We're going to have it. I want to request the chairman of the alumni to come and take over. Oh, he's serving the cake.
Kino kyotuuseeko kigenda kukyusa erinnya lyo kyongere ekitiibwa ofune emikwano ensonga y'embaga lwakuba
ngoyagala bagutere ku Zoom, YouTube wamno ku Facebook njagala kugamba nti ITV be basobola okubeera nga bakikolerako bulungi nnyo balina kamera nunyi nkambwe